You might as well get the song wrong.
How much you're talking over it now?
But sure, John Breslin will play it later. It's over. I'll play it over the jingle now. It's gone.
Sure, a music station.
What time do you come on air at?
I don't know. 6:30.
What do you call the bead on the end of your toothpaste? I heard you.
The wee blob on the end of the toothpaste. And a nurdle.
Let me ask you a question. Do you leave the tap running when you're brushing your teeth?
That's a bad idea. It's a waste of water.
Do you though? Tell the truth.
Do I do? No, I don't. I switch it on and off because I'm tight.
Come on, you don't.
No, I do. Do you leave it on?
No.
No, you don't.
It's a horrendous waste of water if you do.
Well, do you know what I used to do, right? When you left it, I used to leave on the hot water tap, right?
But now at your age, you can just put your teeth into the dishwasher.
No, you're all right. Just yet I have my own. Thanks. But do you know when I was shaving, right? I used to run, when I was using the razor blade, right? I used to run the hot water constantly, with the blade. But now I'm conserving the hot water.
Good man.
I use a cup.
Yes.
I put the hot water in the cup and let the blade soak in there.
Very good.
And just use that wee cup full of water rather than have a.
So you're all over this already. Greta Thunberg would be very proud of you.
Oh well.
Thank you very much, Lee.
Greg,
see you tomorrow
show.
morning.
Good luck,
all right,
boy.
that's Lee Goochaway. Back with you, as I say, 6:30 in the morning, Tuesday. Right, let's get a news update. And at 9 o'clock, it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Police were attacked in Derry last night as they conducted a search close to the Calais border. With more detail, here's Tara Duggan.
The PSNI say officers came under attack when bottles and stones were thrown at them in the McGowan Park area of Derry last night. They were conducting a search operation in the vicinity of Brayhead Road in relation to recent violent dissident Republican terrorism. Shortly before 7 p.m, they came under sporadic attack from a group of approximately 30 young people who'd gathered in the area. Some vehicles were damaged, but no injuries were reported. Police say they liaised with local community representatives who persuaded the crowd to disperse. The operation ended at 7:30 and police then left the area.
Tax breaks for renters and landlords are being described as too little, too late. They're among the measures being introduced by government to address the fallout from the lifting of the eviction ban. Estate agents Sherry Fitzgerald say 21,000 landlords have left the market in the past 12 months alone. Managing Director Marion Finnegan says emergency measures are needed to stop the exodus of landlords right now and not in the weeks and months ahead.
So what we need is a measure that will actually tell the landlords that over a period of time, not just this year, but let's say over a 3 to 5 year period, that their tax position will improve significantly. That may stop half of them or a proportion of them leaving the marketplace. And surely retaining what we have in terms of available accommodation is probably the first thing that we need to do.
And 8 in 10 Irish workers believe a 4-day working week will become a reality within the next 10 years. However, a new Hayes Ireland survey shows just 3.5% of workplaces have brought it in or trialled it. It found 95% of professionals here think it would be a good idea. Hayes Ireland Operations Director Maureen Lynch believes more employers would consider it if workers were coming into the office.
I suppose what was interesting when you delve further into the research, when it came to, as you know, we're now working for the most part where possible a hybrid working week, but that's 17% moved to 36%, where from an employer's perspective they would consider it if employees would forfeit hybrid and come into the office 4 days a week.
A yellow weather warning for snow and ice has been issued for a number of counties, including Donegal. Met Éireann say wintry showers will lead to icy conditions in some areas tonight and tomorrow morning, with a chance of hazardous road conditions and slippery paths. The warning comes into effect tonight at 8. It lasts until 12 noon tomorrow. A similar warning has also been issued for Derry and Tyrone. And today, Met Éireann tell us we'll see widespread showers or longer spells of rain, heavy in places with a chance of some spot flooding after a mild start. Afternoon temperatures will fall back to between 4 and 8 degrees Celsius. Some showers becoming wintry in strong and gusty southwest winds, veering northerly during the course of today. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
There's a grand stretch in the evening, Tom says to everyone he meets this time of year, including the fire service, who this evening responded to an electrical fire at Tom's house, caused by the charger he forgot to unplug after having a grand stretch in his online yoga class this afternoon. Not so grand. Thankfully, Tom has a phone watch alarm, which responds to break-ins and smoke in just 15 seconds for only €49. Life is unpredictable. Don't be alarmed, be phone watched. Offer ends March 19th. Visit phonewatch.ie. Monitoring fees apply.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9, Monday the 13th of March. If you're 9 to 5 or 5 days a week, it's a 4-day week for the most of you, so it's going to feel like 10 days. It's always the case, isn't it? But anyway, we'll worry about that as the week wears on. I hope you had a nice, relaxing weekend. We had a sick toddler in the house, so Feels like a break getting to work. It's good to be here. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Comments via email to comments@highlandradio.com. You can watch the programme, of course, I like to remind you, every morning on our Facebook and YouTube channels or on our website, highlandradio.com. And feel free to say hello, have your comments there. Good morning to Michael and Marie already joining us to watch the show. Right, okay, plenty to come up between now and 12, so stay right where you are. Lines have closed now, our voting lines have closed now for our Irish Music Month search for a local talent star, and loads of you took part, and it was really, really tight yesterday afternoon. I don't know what happened since, but anyway, our external panel of judges will be considering the 4 finalists over the next day or two, and then the winner will be announced on this programme on Wednesday, and whoever goes forward to represent us, we are in with a shout as they go on to a national competition where loads of independent local stations, effectively not licensed, funded stations, have come together for this competition, and the winner gets played on all the stations as well, which is great, reaching I think 3.4 million listeners every day, which is great. Okay, anyway, that's to come later in the week. Now let's have a look at what's making the pages of the newspapers today. Let's start with the Donegal News, and Donegal is among several counties being targeted in a crackdown on illegal TV streaming networks. The clampdown on so-called dodgy boxes is taking place across the country to fight copyright infringement. Counties Mayo, Limerick, Meath, Offaly, Dublin, Wexford, Cork, Kildare, Tipperary and Kilkenny also being targeted. A number of legal warnings have been sent to individuals involved in providing illegal access to premium TV content, including the likes of Sky and the Premier League. The main targets are a number of online portals and services which streams access to premium TV and sports content, often selling ads around that content. So you'll see the ads on Facebook for IPTV or your Fire Stick, your loaded Fire Stick or whatever it might be called. They seem to be targeting here the resellers in this country, because an awful lot of the streamers are based outside of Ireland, in the UK and elsewhere. What will happen is someone locally will buy, 1,000 lines off them for 40 or 50 quid and then sell them for 80 or 90, and that's how they make their money. So far easier to target the resellers, I think, than it might be the sources of these streams. They remain incredibly active, but I think if anyone's been advertising their services on Facebook, they're the type of people that are going to be getting a virtual knock on the door. The Derry News this morning: a long-standing Seagate employee and campaigner for trade union rights revealed Unite the Union was on the verge of recognition at the company's Springtown plant. And elsewhere, sad news, deep sadness in Derry and the Northwest as news emerged of the death of Mr Patrick Hume, the former head and governor, or of governors, at St Cecilia's College in the city. Fondly known as Paddy, Mr Hume was the brother of the late John Hume, an MP and Nobel laureate and former leader of the Social Democrat and Labour Party. Paddy passed away in the early hours of Sunday morning. Mr Hume, formerly of Iona Park in Derry, was predeceased by his wife Bridget in February 2022, and our sympathies to Paul, Brenda, Fiona, Ursula, Una and Shauna, his father-in-law of Maria, Tommy, John, David, Ray and Brendan, and he's described as a devoted grandfather and also brother of Jim and the late John, Annie, Harry, Sally and Agnes, and may he rest in peace. On to the nationals now this morning, and the Irish Independent tells us that the number of learner drivers failing to show up for a book driving test has dropped by over 80%, which is good news, I think, because hopefully then there's more options for people that actually need them. There was a thing whereby people, because you could really drive in perpetuity on your provisional licence, and I know people that were at this crack as well, close to me, if the truth be told, not that close, but close enough, where they just kept the learner permit going. It's only really in the last couple of years that it was a big no-no. So that was cracked down on, so I say that's helped. Revised online test booking arrangements have seen the number of no-shows at driving test centres nationwide decrease by 83% in less than 4 years. New statistics, which have been released by the Road Safety Authority to former Social Democrats leader Catherine Murphy, revealed that while 24,500 learners permit holders failed to show up for a book driving test in 2019. That number fell to just 4,131 last year. RSA officials attributed the vast reduction to revised and enhanced online booking arrangements. But I should suggest, or I would suggest, that it's nothing to do with that really, or maybe it has. I think it's the fact that driving on your learner permit became so frowned upon, and Gardaí started to actually fine people, give them points and put them off the road. But anyway, I could be wrong. The Irish Times this morning tells us that primary schools have been left in the dark about the implementation of a free book scheme to be rolled out in September, and there is a significant risk students will be without books at the start of the next academic year. It's been claimed, though I'm sure they'll come up with a solution. The Minister for Education, Omar Foley, announced funding of 47 million in last September's budget to provide free school books and related classroom resources to all 540,000 pupils attending primary schools. Guidelines for the scheme are being finalised. However, concern is mounting that publishing deadlines are being missed as a result of confusion about how the scheme will operate. But as I say, there's people being well paid to sort that out. The Irish Daily Mail tells us that families are turning to their GPs over eviction stress, and there's lots of stories in the papers today about people living in their cars, real stories of homelessness and how it affects people. And the Irish Daily Mail's take on it reads as follows. Parents are desperately seeking medication from their doctors to deal with the fear and trauma of being forced out of their homes as the end of the eviction ban looms. Estate agents revealed that they have tenants begging them to help them find anywhere to live. Minister for Integration Roderick O'Gorman admitted that the numbers living in tents this weekend climbed to 82 in bitterly cold temperatures, despite a pledge that tents would not be used again. Wayne Stanley of the homelessness charity Simon Community said, I'm hearing stories of mothers and families going to the doctor and being prescribed medication to try and deal with the stress. It's devastating. A tsunami of evictions is expected across the country in the coming weeks once the eviction ban expires, he said. And the government has said that's going to happen. And they don't believe that banning people being evicted from their homes would in any way be useful at this time, which I can't understand how that's the case, but that's why I'm not a politician, I suppose. On to the Irish Daily Star today, and all the talk at the weekend for people, not only in Britain, but an awful lot of people weighing in with their opinions here, was Gary Lineker. He was pulled from presenting Match of the Day on Saturday night. He's kind of got woke views, people might describe it as, and he's being censored, and some would argue that it's normally the other way around, but anyway. And then lots of his colleagues withdrew their services to the DUP, the BBC, in solidarity, but apparently they're on the verge of coming up with a solution that will see the situation resolved. The funny thing is though, that all the talk has been about what Gary Lineker said, and that will be resolved and that story will go away. But what he was commenting on, and that is the new immigration rules, which many people see as cruel, they're actually just going to come in and life will continue in that regard. And he will have had his say. All the coverage would have been had, but at the end of the day, on the actual issue of the UK's crackdown on immigration in the way they are choosing to do it, that is still going to come in to effect. Gary Lineker was finally lost for words last night as the BBC was hit by 2 days of disrupted sports coverage. The Match of the Day host broke cover for the first time to walk his dog after the show aired without him, but the outspoken star simply said, I can't say anything to questions from reporters when he left his home in southwest London. His appearance came as BBC boss Tim Davie reportedly jetted back from the US for crisis talks to defuse the row, which has hit the corporation's sport coverage this weekend. Match of the Day aired for only 20 minutes without accompanying commentary or analysis from pundits following a boycott in solidarity with Lineker. Now, ironically, it had an extra 500,000. Now, I hate the waffle before and after a game. I don't watch it. Like the rugby yesterday, I just switched on as the game started, switched over for half-time. This is the rugby, and restarted the second half and watched it that way. The same with GEA and the same with soccer. People waffling in studio, it does nothing for me, so I wouldn't miss it. I wonder, are a lot of people like me, and maybe that's why an extra 500,000 were able to just switch the TV on and watch the goals. But anyway, Match of the Day aired for only 20 minutes, I mentioned. Match of the Day 2 and planned coverage of the Women's Super League match between Chelsea and Manchester United yesterday ran with reduced formats. The chaos engulfing the Beeb came after Lineker slammed the UK government stop the boats policy and compared language used around immigration to Nazi Germany in the 1930s, which is what he said. And that's all he said. But the way the world has gone now, there are those who are pro-immigration that instantly, because they are, attack Gary Lineker, and it happens in reverse as well. And what he said, people have gone far beyond that. He is. I saw an article where someone said it's an absolute disgrace. Gary Lineker comparing a government minister with Hitler, which he actually demonstrably did not do at all. He just said a lot of the rhetoric, a lot of the language is similar to language in Germany in the 1930s, which, if you see a comparison, is basically true. But anyone, it seems, whether you're on the left or the right now, firstly, if you say anything the other side don't like, you're shut down and demonised for it. And then on top of that, you're misquoted. You know, people just say, oh, he said that, even when he didn't. And as I say, it's not just in this direction, it seems in all directions. The world's gone absolutely crazy. Well, anyway, he was forced to step back from presenting duties by the broadcaster after refusing to apologise for his comments made on Twitter, but the decision backfired. And half the problem is as well that the boss man, Tim Davie, he helped get Boris Johnson an €800,000 loan before he was appointed to that job. Stinks to high heavens, doesn't it? That's being investigated. Then you've got other personalities, Andrew Neil amongst them, on the BBC's payroll, who is very outspoken politically. Alan Sugar's the same. And there's a few others. So there's a serious... what it looks like is the BBC gave in to pressure from government. And all of that was being had in... The conversation was being had in the context that the BBC is impartial. Now, come on, seriously. No harm to BBC or RTE for that matter, but they're not impartial. I mean, it would be ridiculous to say so. I mean, we know over the last while that that's simply, again, you can demonstrate that that is not the case. So the whole basis of the argument was a bit silly to me, because they were talking about upholding the BBC's impartiality, but it's not an impartial organisation. Anyway, on to the Irish Sun this morning. Children's Minister Roderick O'Gorman says he endures abuse every day online because he is gay. The Green TD revealed his team is forced to remove comments falsely alleging he is a paedophile and child groomer off his social media accounts on a daily basis. Minister O'Gorman yesterday told RTE such behaviour needed to be called out as it was happening more and more frequently. He said the level of abuse is at a whole new level to when he began his political career in 2004. He said every politician has to be ready for robust criticism. Absolutely. But there is a definite change in dialogue in some parts of the public on these issues. I'm able to take it, but for young people who are online and having to face similar attacks, it's really difficult. And I think it's important we call it out. And there are, people can't disagree as much anymore without going to personal insults. And the next generation's watching that. They're watching mum and dad saying that, if you feel passionately enough about anything, whatever it might be, then you can say whatever you like about the person that you disagree with. That's the way it seems to be now. And again, I'm not pointing fingers in any particular direction, but the young people are watching on going, well, if the adults are at this crack, I'm going to be at it too. And it's another generation that will be coming through with that mindset. Finally, in the Irish Daily Mirror, 100 members of Garda Rep Body, or a Garda Rep Body, will march to the Force's HQ today in a move which highlights the frustration, stress and anger its members are feeling. The Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors will hand a letter into management over health, safety and welfare in a row over proposed rosters. And the International Council of Police Representative Associations has weighed in behind the Rep Body in support of their move. Right, 0886 60 25,000. Have you any comments on anything you heard there? Or give us a call on 07491 25,000. It's the 9 till noon show. It's great to be back with you for another week, and we'll be back with our first guest of this week after these messages.
Courtesy of Kelly. The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie. Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori Strabane, 2-course express menu, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Only $18.95. 7-day weekly a la carte menu, euro for pound. Now taking bookings for Mother's Day and Sunday Carvery, 2 courses only $15.95. Check out our party packages and great deals at Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori Strabane.
It's Cheltenham Week in the Star. First up, get our free bumper preview magazine to get you in the winning mood. We talk to record-breaking Willie Mullins on the brink of a century of Cheltenham Festival winners. Davy Russell is in bonus territory as he embarks on his final festival. We hear from former stockbroker Barry Connell on swapping banks for Cheltenham bankers. Rory DeLargy picks 5 handicap good things, and we bring you Brian Flanagan's best bets of the week, plus lots more. All in your free bumper Cheltenham preview magazine. Tomorrow, only in the Irish Daily Star.
Inishowen Credit Union have recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call any of their 4 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Inishowen Credit Union, Buncrana, Carndonagh, Moville and Muff, supporting local farmers. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hello, thanks for waiting. Could you hold the line?
Yeah, no problem.
Now, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm looking to make some updates to my insurance policy.
Have you tried our online portal?
I thought it would be easier to call.
Yeah. No. You're going to have to log on to amend your policy. Thanks for calling.
No, wait. I don't know my password.
Get the feeling that your insurer doesn't want to talk to you? At Local Insurance, we understand your needs. Call today for a bespoke quote or find us online at localinsurance.ie. Local Insurance, we'll get you sorted. The Local Insurance Network, DAC Trading's Local Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Local Insurance is a tied insurance intermediary of Acorn Brokerage Limited. Acorn Brokerage Limited, trading as Acorn Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Now, I'm sure most of you out there will be familiar with the company Stitch It Bernie. Its owner is Bernie, and Bernie joins us on the line now. Good morning, Bernie.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for joining us. And this really highlights the struggles that businesses are facing, and it's through the cost of electricity. You got an awful shock when your most recent bill came through.
Yeah, I got I got electric bill and rates bill on Friday morning, so we opened them up and over €1,000 for the electric bill, and I know 300 was from the previous time, which leaves it 700, which is still an awful lot for 2 months for such a small business that doesn't have, it hasn't got the big intake of the likes of Michael Hanley's and them big stores.
Yeah, the margins are much narrower, and it's you creating your own revenue. In terms of your electricity usage as well, I mean, what kind of machinery do you use for your repairs and what have you?
I do have 3 machines, but they're not really sore on electric. But I do have the iron, which is on all the time, which is probably one of the ones that use most heating, and the oil burner. That was the only 2 things that were pretty sore on the electric. Because I used to work from home, and my electric was never any higher because I had a machine on now and again. Yeah. So I don't really know how I was using over £700 in 2 months, and then you have to take out your Sundays and the days that you're not working. So it's not really a full 2 months.
And, I mean, there comes a point too, Bernie, I'm not saying you're at that point, but when you get your rates bill, your electricity bill like this here, and you have to put in the hours in the line of work that you do. I know my mum and father were involved in a similar trade really effectively, so I know how hard work it is. There comes a point where you say, well, is it worth it? Well, I'm being rated, and particularly the powered, charged out of doing this.
Yeah, well, last night before I come on, I did sit down last night now, and I know I'm nearly open 8 years, and I didn't actually sit down and weigh everything out, because I just wanted to go to work. I didn't want to sit in the house and claim anything, just to sit in the house. So I have 11 bills before you earn any wages at all. Between your rent, your insurance, your rates, your diesel, your electric, water, then your stock, then the property tax, oil, the accounts man, and then advertising, and then of course you need the phone. So all them needs paid, which doesn't really leave you with an awful amount of money altogether. Yeah. So I would need to earn over €110 a day to make any profit then after that. Wow. Which is like trousers, hems would be a tenner with me, and that would kind of be the quickest job that you can do. but that still would take 11 pairs a day. That would take nearly 5 hours work. So you only have 2 hours, 2.5 hours work of anything coming in. You know, and then you do have customers come in and they like to have a wee chat. And you don't be rude. You stand, like I like to chat as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I get
So
you.
we stand and have the wee conversation. So that does eat into your time as well. So you're lost in there again. Now I don't mind chatting one bit because I'm the biggest chatter out. But
and also,
it all comes out,
your type of business
Yeah.
is such as well, and there's a few other similar businesses whereby you can't slap a fiver on. Do you know what I mean? If turning up a pair of trousers is a tenner, you can't then say all of a sudden it's 15 because you could find yourself sitting there, you know, with nothing to do. You know, you're kind of a wee bit hamstrung there. I think, if I'm right, Bernie.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. I've raised my price once, and that's a couple of years ago. It was €8 and I put it up to €2.
Yeah.
I don't want to be adding on. I haven't raised the prices way the inflation this last while, and I don't want to do that because I know myself, people are finding it hard and they don't want to be paying big money to get something repaired. You know?
Yeah.
But it does make you sit back and think, is it really worth it? But then I don't like to sit at home, Greg. I like to go to my work.
Yeah, but
I love what I do.
But the thing is, Bernie, we can't have a system set up that's exploited, right? Because you have a small business, as you say yourself. You're earning money, right? You're earning money. You're not reliant on the state, and you're paying into the state through all the rates and the taxes and the water and everything else, right? But it's almost impossible for you to run a successful business where you're, you know, even putting a few quid away at the scale, because the system is set up in such a way that it takes so much of what you earn that one person, even with all the work in the world, couldn't work to make a very successful business. It sounds like it's very confusing the way I've described it, but what I'm trying to say is the system is set up not to support people like you. You are far better off sitting at home doing nothing. Now, not for yourself, but financially. That's crazy. That's a bad system.
Yeah, financially, I would be better off sitting at home, 100%. That is why it's so hard to get staff, because they are better sitting at home than they're getting paid to go to work.
Yeah. But then again, you see, you hire someone. If you hire someone and they're paid, I'll just say off the top of my head, say they would be getting 50 quid a day. I'll just say that for an easy figure. You know, that's 5 alterations, and then only after that, are you making money, you know, with someone else working with you? I mean, that again, on a small scale business, it makes it very, very difficult for you to sort of, you know, employ it. Yeah, again, that's wrong. That doesn't.
That's
because
wrong.
The person that is not going to work for you may well be at home being paid not to work. How does that?
That's right. We're in now to near the end of midway through the 3rd month. And these are always the toughest months in every business. So these months, I'd be lucky if I would get 3 weeks' wages, like full week's wages. I would be lucky if I get that. Other than the husband's working, I probably would have no money of any kind, if you know what I mean. I'm not coming on here to cry poverty.
No, listen, I think you're being really honest and speaking for a lot of businesses, Bernie. No one's going to think that you're that's the case at all. Now, I mean, obviously the big kick in the teeth is the cost of the electricity. And what makes it even worse is that over the weekend, oil companies reported hundreds upon hundreds of billions of euro in profits. Wholesale costs are lower now than they were before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And yet here we have a business like yours getting bills through the door, which probably, what are they, 3 times what they were before? Something like that, maybe even more.
Yeah, definitely so.
You know,
electric used to be only just over €200 for the 2 months.
Yeah. Well, it's 4 times it then.
Yeah.
So the people you're paying electricity. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Bernie.
No, I know everybody's in the same boat, but it is frustrating.
And you're saying, you know, why would anyone move back here? Why would anyone choose to live here? Because, I mean...
I don't get that.
Yeah.
I don't get why they want to come over here and go to work, and you're just working to pay your bills. That's it.
Right. Right, okay.
That's it. I don't get...
All right, Bernie, so tell us about some of the services you provide to the public.
Okay, well, I sew absolutely anything, up to wedding dresses, do we christening gowns, all types of alterations, men's, women's, children's.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe, Craig, you were in the shop at one stage
I was
yourself.
indeed. I can't remember what I came
You
in
were.
with as well. Are you still in the same?
Probably something to
is
do
it
with the wife.
It was Navanny Car Park, isn't it? Is it?
No,
What?
it's up Donegal Road now, just.
Oh, right, okay. So you're in the Donegal Road. I went in there.
Yeah.
You were very good value and brilliant work. And I think in this day and age, it's so easy maybe to go and buy stuff cheap that you're far better off doing alterations. I was reading last week the amount of really good clothes that are sent out of Ireland and end up in dumps in Africa. You know, we should be using people like yourself to you know, maintain clothes. Let the leg. We used to let trousers down. Does anyone let trousers down anymore? Do you do much of that?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah,
Okay, that's good.
Still do that.
Right, all right,
Yeah,
good. We're not chucking them out. Right, so tell us where you're located so if anyone needs any work done, because there's lots of people out there with alterations and they can support your business, Bernie. So tell us where they can find you.
You can find me in the Donegal Road between the Bank Ireland and Lidl, and just up the Donegal Road,
That's
kind of
it.
halfway there.
Excellent.
You couldn't miss it. It's a purple and orange building painted.
Well, I know where it is. I just wanted you to. I wanted you to
Stand
push
out a
it.
mile.
I wanted you to push it for us, Bernie. All right. Okay. Listen, and I hope people support you and other businesses like yours, because we don't want to lose them. And I hope the government gets a bit of sense and realises that it's businesses like yours and others that need to be supported. And it's very frustrating, and it's a kick in the teeth. And then on a Friday, you're heading into the weekend and you wonder, why the hell do I bother my bum? But hopefully it's a new week and you feel a bit better on it, Bernie. And maybe you can get your accounts person to see if you can apply for any of that money refund, the electricity refund, maybe.
I don't think I'll get that because my landlord's name is actually on the electric bill.
Okay. Right, I get you. Okay. Well, anyway, what we can do is support businesses like yours. So on the Donegal Road, it's a big purple building. It stands out like her thumb just after she stuck a needle into it.
That's it.
All right.
That's great. Thanks very much.
Keep your thimbles close. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, that's Bernie. Stitch it, Bernie there. Her bill has quadrupled, and she's located there on the Donegal Road, just between that corner we were talking about, remember, with the crossing, and the Lidl just up the road. If you want to support that business, local businesses keep things ticking over, don't they? That lady just needs to put the price up 20%. The general public are very aware of the situation and they won't mind paying an extra few euros. She shouldn't be frightened to raise the prices. Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, but I just think, and as I say, not that much, but my parents used to do some of that. If you're getting an alteration done, you might be doing it because you say, well, I'll alter this rather than buy something new. There does come a point, and maybe 20% is not that point, whereby people might go, it's hardly worth it, you know. Michael McCaffrey, the councillor, says, Greg, we're all on a slippery slope with the ESB. Once everything goes electric, cars, heating, etc., no chimneys on new houses. It's only going the one way. A slush fund for electric suppliers down the road, as well as immediately for many. Interesting over the weekend, and you might not hear much about it. The EU has effectively scrapped plans for the banning of the internal combustion engine by 2035. It had been the plan that all petrol and diesel cars across the EU would be gone by 2035 in terms of new cars produced. There are a couple of major car manufacturing countries, amongst them Germany, who have a veto, and the Germans at the end of last week said, no, can do, we're not doing it. So it looks like the internal combustion engine will be around for quite some time to come. Now, obviously, Ireland possibly could vary it and continue with their plans. We don't really take the lead on too much in this country, do we either? All right, okay, we're going to be talking about littering, the ongoing problem. Our beautiful county, it is the most stunning county in the world, in Ireland. All right, let's not get carried away, but certainly in Ireland. And unfortunately, there are people that don't care that other people have to come and pick it up. They don't care that they're ruining the look of our beautiful place because they're too tight or too lazy and just throw stuff out the window. We're going to be speaking to a councillor about that after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
It's Cheltenham Week in the Star. First up, get our free bumper preview magazine to get you in the winning mood. We talk to record-breaking Willie Mullins on the brink of a century of Cheltenham Festival winners. Davy Russell is in bonus territory as he embarks on his final festival. We hear from former stockbroker Barry Connell on swapping banks for Cheltenham bankers. Rory DeLargy picks 5 handicap good things, and we bring you Brian Flanagan's best bets of the week, plus lots more. All in your free bumper Cheltenham preview magazine. Today, only in the Irish Daily Star.
Do you have training requirements within your company? SafeTech are running a number of part-funded programs, including electro and butt fusion welding, first aid, water hygiene, company safety officer, confined spaces, food hygiene, construction site supervisor, various plant UK construction cards, and much more. Contact SafeTech today on safetech.ie.
Stop Highland Radio are going to Scotland from Monday the 1st of May to Thursday the 4th of May with the very best of music, and we would love for you to join us. Staying at the 4-star Crown Plaza Hotel in Glasgow, we are bringing with us some of the biggest country stars, including myself, David James, Declan Ernie and Robert Mazzell, to name a few. You will enjoy luxury travel to Glasgow, 3 nights dinner, bed and breakfast with music and entertainment each evening. Join us on the Highland Fling to Glasgow this May for only €575 per person. To book, call Highland Radio today on 074 91 25,000. Early booking is advisable. Single supplement applies.
Right, we're joined on the programme now, as I mentioned, by Councillor Niamh Kennedy, an independent councillor on Donegal County Council. Niamh, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, listeners. How are you today?
I'm good, and thanks for joining us. It's a shame, isn't it, that we have to revisit this issue, Niamh. Why did you speak out again about littering, effectively?
Well, basically, and bottom line is that we're sick, sore and tired of looking at rubbish on the roadsides that people are throwing out from their cars and their trucks as they're passing by. We have so many brilliant people and so many great volunteers in the county that are out cleaning up after other people who just don't bother. Their own cars and vans and buses are all clean, but they don't care when they throw it out the window what the countryside looks like. We've got a brilliant reputation for being a lovely county to visit. And yet and all, when we pass each road, and we all see it every day, the amount of rubbish that's thrown out of car windows is just, really is disgusting. Now, I think people are really, really fed up with it. And what's going to happen is volunteers are going to get so fed up, they're just going to say, you know what, why are we bothering? Because this is just endless. It's so desperately unfair. People are trying so hard.
This happens all year round. So the truth is that our fantastic volunteers that are out the crack of dawn, often we don't see them picking up the rubbish that's discarded. It's probably their neighbours, or at least members of their community, that they're picking up after. I mean, does the person responsible not care or not think that that's wrong? I mean, how do we get through to people, Niamh? Because, as I say, you know, this is a conversation we had last year, the year before, this year. We'll have it next year again, and the year after that. It's just, how do we get through to people?
Eternity. Yeah. I genuinely, I think the more we kind of dismiss it, and the more we speak up and say, you know what, clean up after yourself and don't be just a dirty person and throwing stuff out the window. You know, the more we, I suppose, give out about it, maybe the better, because enough is enough. I mean, like you say, we have takeaways from at night time. People are throwing it out the window. They're probably not thinking of the mess that they've left behind. You know, there's always spots. There's always target areas. You could nearly tell when somebody's coming from a certain spot in Donegal Town, a takeaway, to a certain spot in Fintra.
Oh,
they're finished their takeaway now.
You can see where it is now, and I can see it on the roads I'm at. Right, but from people I speak to on this programme over the years, people who litter, people that might park in a driving bay reserved for the disabled, right? Often other members of the public will pull them up on it, and they're told to F off. So in other words, what I can conclude from that, I think, is that the people that are doing this, we're not going to get through to them, because if they come on the line now, they'd probably say, Niamh, mind your own effing business, Greg, F off, I'll do whatever I like. Do you know what I mean? So us condemning it and appealing to people's better judgment is not working, because, as I say, the experience of listeners is that if they challenge someone, someone challenged someone who's chucking nappies out of the car, and they were literally told to F off. Like, I'm not using emotive language just for the crack. So it's those people that might only listen if you're inclined to do that and you don't care and you tell someone to clear off if they challenge you, then they're only going to understand punishment, being penalised. So how do we do that then effectively? Is it number plates stamped on packaging? Is it more patrols and people being pulled over and fined? Like, what do we do?
Well, this is it. What do we do? I do know of, areas where Gardaí have spotted people and have seen and have picked up rubbish themselves and was able to trace it back to an individual, and they've been fined, and then the fine goes back into the Tidy Towns groups, whatever it is, which is a benefit, but there's maybe not enough of that. There are some local Gardaí who are very, very conscientious and very good like that, and they'll pull someone up on it and say, here, there's a clean up next week, you better go there because I've caught you throwing something out your window. Stuff like that. But maybe it's not big enough yet, maybe it's not strong enough. But certainly, if we are trying to create a nice impression of a nice, pleasant place to live and to work and to visit, then we really, really are going to have to open our eyes and widen the scope of what it is that we can do.
As I said it before, I would like to, I said it when we talked about this the last time, and I'll say it again, I would love the council to look at this at a different approach. Let's start putting signs up, big signs, that are very visible in the places that you can identify, right? We can move them around, it doesn't matter, where we ask people, please don't dump here. Do you know what I mean? So that someone has to think twice before they do it. More innovative radio and newspaper campaigns, whatever it might be. Let's do a month of that and see if it has any impact. I can think of 2 places instantly where I'd put a sign up. It's a small enough area so the people that are doing this live up this road, okay? Put a sign up saying, please don't dump your rubbish here, because it's the same rubbish, it seems, every weekend. At least let's try that as well and see, at least we can say we exhausted all of the carrot before we start whipping out the stick again properly.
Stick. Yeah. Well, yes, certainly we could try it, although I think people most of the time ignore signs as well. I mean, they ignore disabled signs, they ignore no parking, they ignore double yellow lines.
Well, we can't give up, though. I know what you're saying, I know, but even if it just made people think, because there is the argument that I'm sure people will have when they're listening, will be, well, look at people maybe can't afford to pay for the disposal of rubbish, and I understand that, but often this stuff is chucked out of a car so that people can afford a car. They can afford the takeaway. They can afford the takeaway. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I can understand that maybe occasionally, and there's no excuse for it, that someone has rubbish building up in the house, they cannot afford to dispose of it, and they might take full bags of rubbish somewhere and dump them. It's completely wrong, should never happen. But we're talking about incidental littering, where people could take it home and put it in the bin, but they just don't care because they've clearly got the resources for the car, the takeaway, and to be out at night maybe, and it's just that they don't care about their canteen.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe more promotion around times of maybe the rally weekend, around times of, where there's a festival or an event coming up, that there would be a presence of people there that would be, make sure you clean up your rubbish. And, when you go to festivals now and events and stuff like that too, there's always a great emphasis on, bring your litter home, or, have bags there or bins there in places that people can actually put their rubbish into. And a lot of young people are really conscientious, don't get me wrong, and there are a lot of really good people out there. And the volunteers are unbelievable. And there's nothing as soul destroying as going out on a road as a volunteer and cleaning up an area and looking and think that's a great job, and to come back a couple of hours later to see it a mess again, and you're going, why are we bothering them? This is just so soul destroying. Yeah, well, here's a group of people that seems like they're a person, their soul's destroyed. We had a clean up last weekend in the Creasla area, and we picked up a lot of rubbish heading in the Termon direction. We picked up everything, and they say, and fair play to them, and we applaud them, and they do amazing work. They say, though, could bins along the road help? You see, the problem is bins actually attract rubbish. And I know that sounds like a silly thing to say, but it's like bottle banks. You think they are great, don't get me wrong, but next thing you know, you've got all types of rubbish and bottles dumped there when they're full. Now, you could say, well, we'll clean them out more often, but bins along the road, the council's not got... Maintenance is always the blocker, I think, for our developments in this county. Do you think that would make any difference? The bins, no, definitely not. I've noticed it actually in Sligo. They've taken all of the bins away from Mullaghmore, and that there's not a bin to be found anywhere near the beach or in that village anywhere. and it works. And there's nothing. It's perfect. And the council would say that themselves. They would not put bins, say, up at Sleeve League or places like that, because it just attracts more rubbish. So the community, the tidy towns locally would have lifted all the bins from the shore front and said no, because it was household rubbish and camper van rubbish and all sorts being thrown into them. And the seagulls were coming along and pulling it out onto the footpaths, which was an absolute mess altogether. So, there's an awful lot of issues there around that, and sometimes bins are not the issue unless they're sealed and enclosed. And again, they're very, very expensive.
And then they put the small holes in so people don't put in their household waste, and then they get jammed, and then the rubbish just gets left behind them. I know tourist towns in the middle of the town where the bin is full and there's just everyday rubbish around it, so I don't know. I just think with what we've seen over the winter, the problem is still bad, and with the tourism season upon us, I just think we need to do something else in terms of signage or awareness, or let's make 2023 the year where we try something else, because I don't think we have the resources for patrols. The mobile CCTV cameras they were talked about, I'm not sure if they ever existed, and if they did, what they achieved. We just need to come at this from a different angle, I think, Niamh, or else it's just, making the same mistake over and over again, and we know what that's the definition of.
We do. I think next month is the big Donegal clean-up month as well, so that'll be another big campaign from the local authority in relation to that. And there'll be a lot of groups out there cleaning up. And a lot of people are on the roadsides that are cleaning up. And let me tell you, when you're out there and there's cars flying past you or trucks flying past you, it's not the most pleasant place to be.
No.
You literally are taking a risk by being out there. And a lot of people are doing that because they've been very, very conscientious of their environment and about the landscape and how they want things to be and how they see it should be. So we have to be conscious of those people and children. It's not children that's throwing rubbish out on the roadsides. They all learn well in
exactly.
school.
It's learned behaviour, and they're seeing their parents do it. I just wonder, maybe are we still putting as much focus on the green flags and all this kind of stuff in schools? I remember going back 10 years ago, the raising of the flag and all this kind of stuff. Are we still focusing on littering in our schools, and not just our primary schools either, but our secondary schools? It'd be interesting, anyone out there that's all involved in the school could let us know. Maybe Niamh, but whatever about the current generations, the next generation, I think we need to double down and get the message across to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, the schools are being quite proactive still. They're still at it, and the national schools, and indeed the TY students in the secondary schools seem to be really, really proactive there as well. They've got good guidance on that, and there is that there. But I think it's that older cohort that's just a little bit maybe scatty, maybe just not thinking, maybe they're just not thinking of the environment, maybe they're just not thinking, of anything really at the moment. They're just having a good time and not thinking of the consequences. If someone's killed on the roadside by, cleaning up someone's litter, it'll be an awful thing to have in your conscience,
All right, thanks very much, Councillor Niamh Kennedy. Have you any solutions out there to the problems? And it's an ongoing problem. 086 60 25,000. And a big shout out to the people who are out doing the cleanups in every part of our beautiful region. They're out very early in the morning often, or at the weekends, out picking stuff up. The council supports them with bags and pickers, I think, and they collect the rubbish and stuff. But, we need to come up with some sort of a solution to stop the littering of our county and our region. 086 60 25,000. What's the solution? Mary's been on to us, and she's raised the other issue which comes up regularly, and rightly so. Councillor Kennedy's so right, it's disgusting, and I find also that dog fouling is a menace. It's just pure laziness and pure raring, believes Mary. Get real, Greg. People who dump rubbish have no regard for signs. The only language they understand is a hefty fine with their name published in the local press. The council is guilty of being very lethargic in this regard. Look at the roundabout in Lifford. It's littered with unauthorised sign with council staff pass by every working day. Nothing appears to be done about it. I understand why you're bringing that in. I suppose it's we've talked about that as well on this programme quite regularly. All takeaways should stamp their takeaways bag, and when you get one, stamp it with the time you got it, thus catching them on takeaway CCTV. Now, that sounds like a GDPR minefield, but it might change attitudes, you see. It's not necessarily that everyone that dumped would get caught, but it's the fear of getting caught, because at the moment you can do it and you're not going to get caught. What's the protocol if someone is mowing the lawn and they dump their clippings over the hedge or over the road? Is that allowed? Anyone out there know? Is that treated the same as, plastic waste? Or can they be dumped on the side of the road or over the hedge? That's lawn clippings. Let us know. 086 60 25,000. Good morning, Greg. So it was okay when it was all on the right. Nothing was said, but now the woke lefty Gary Lineker gets what he deserves. I can understand exactly where you're coming from with that, but the reality is that these pile-ons and censoring of people, it absolutely achieves very, very little. And you can probably think of what's the quickest example, Matt Letizia, perhaps. When he was let go from his position, there was not the big uproar then. But as I say, I'm not interested in, personally myself, getting involved in stone throwing from the left or the right, let's just say. But, people need to be able to have a polite conversation. If Gary Lineker's comments were in favour of the government proposal on immigration, would the BBC have censored him? No, of course they wouldn't have. They go on to say that, like RTE, the national broadcaster is ruled by the politicians. Let me see. There is another caller about to join us, but we have to take this quick break.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
The government is planning to make changes to the Temporary Business Energy Support Scheme to help more businesses with rising energy costs. Until these changes take effect in the coming weeks, claims can continue to be made under the current scheme. If your business has been impacted by significant gas or electricity price increases and you haven't already registered with revenue.ie, now's the time to do so. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Clarins Gift of Beauty promotion is now on McElhinney's. Purchase 2 or more Clarins products, one to be a moisturiser or serum, and receive a choice of 4 free beauty treats and a gorgeous beauty bag. Available until March 25th. 1 gift per customer while stocks last. Gift may vary.
If you need advice on what's best for coughs or colds, or what's best for sore throats or flu, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. If you need advice on the best vitamins and tonics to put a pep in your step, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. Whether it's about backaches, headaches or tummy aches, your Brennan's Pharmacy team can help. If you need advice from someone you trust, we're here for you at your local Brennan's Pharmacy, Buncrana, Clonmany and Creeslaw.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Lanzarote is back. Check out our new summer flights to Lanzarote with Ryanair starting March 28th. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Widespread showers or longer spells of rain today, heavy in places with the chance of spot flooding. After a mild start, cooler air will move in during the late morning and afternoon. Some of the showers will turn wintry later in the day. Afternoon temperatures 4 to 8 degrees. And of course, a lot of us interested in what the weather might be like for St. Patrick's Day, and it's looking okay so far. It's going to be significantly milder. Some sunshine being forecast, but there will be the odd shower. But you know what? We'll probably miss the showers. So get out and don't be listening to the fear porn on the weather. The forecasts are pretty good for the end of the week. So get out and support the months and months and months of preparation that's gone in for an awful lot of these community events, St. Patrick's Day parades and what have you. Okay. Councillor Michael McBride says that Letterkenny Milford Municipal District should hold a workshop to identify a site for the proposed transport hub in Letterkenny as a matter of urgency. It's remarkable, isn't it, really, Michael, that still now, especially with what appears to be plenty of space around the town for a transport hub, that people are all having to gather in one kind of congested spot with little shelter and little facilities. It doesn't make a great deal of sense in 2023, Michael.
Good morning, Greg. No, I agree with you 100%. I think, if we look at the transport situation there in Letterkenny at the moment, we have our bus earing station, and then we have another area, where private buses are pulling in, and then we have our taxi ranks around the town. Now, going back to the last, the last county council elections, I had been lobbying, for a transport hub. And we've discussed it, many times, and council meetings since that. And all the local councillors strongly agree, that a hub would be a great benefit to Letterkenny. And I think the site must be convenient to the town centre, you know, and ideally accommodating, you know, the public buses, bus here and local links and taxis. And I would like to see it tying in with a new bus service for the town, you know, where we would have 3 buses travelling to different areas in the town on a regular scheduled timetable. And I think this would help people, you know, to be able to get into the town centre for appointments, for shopping. Even if they're going out to visit somebody in another area of town, they could go into the transport hub and take another bus then to get back out to another side of town. So I think there's a lot of positives and a lot of pluses on it. But I just believe that the time has come now that we need to identify a site. And we've been talking about it for a while, but, you know, I think it's very important that we get this right, because it will be of great benefit to the town in Letterkenny.
You've raised this before. I know I've spoken to Councillor Kieran Brogan about this before, and I'm sure others that just don't come to mind at the moment. You are the guys that were elected. You are calling for it. What's the hold up? Why are these plans not being moved forward? Are they being sort of tied into, let's wait and see what we're going to do with this big 2040 plan for Letterkenny, and it has to be in the right spot for how the town's going to develop in future years? I suspect that's kind of a problem, because the decision has not been made yet as to how Letterkenny is going to develop. And if you don't know how that's going to be done, how do you know where to put the transport hub?
Well, I think, you know, we've been discussing the town bus, the new town bus service for quite a while. We'll be probably at, you know, at a reasonably advanced stage on that. And I think that's all going to tie into the overall plan that I'm talking about. So I don't think that should hold us back, Greg, to be honest with you. I think, you know, we need to plan for the future. And I think, you know, all these towns around Ireland where they have, you know, decent transport hubs and around close to the centre of the towns, they seem to work really, really well. And I know this one will be, a transport hub would be a massive benefit to the whole town.
Well, let's talk about this transport that you're talking of. Are we talking, which would make sense to me, a park and ride, hop on, hop off service that would be regular? Because it would have to be regular. You'd have to feel that, right, a bus is going to be coming along in under 10 minutes, for example. Is that what you envisage? And how do you prevent 3 buses not being stuck on the main street? I'm not being negative, but, you know, there's no point having buses that are circumnavigating the town and are supposed to be convenient if they're jammed up in a row up outside McGettigan's Hotel because the traffic is stuck in the town.
Well, Greg, as most, you know, what we target to do with this is to reduce traffic coming into town. And look, I can't legislate for a traffic jam. That may happen from time to time. I'm sure there are the same problems in Dublin and, you know, different places where they're trying to provide traffic. The area would come to mind as well. You know, there are buses on and out to Fall Street all the time. But, you know, we have to make an effort to try and reduce the number of cars coming into the middle of the town to try and alleviate the traffic. And I think this is the smart way.
Okay.
This is the sensible way to go about it, Greg, I believe.
All right, good to speak to you. Any advances in terms of transport's going to be welcomed, aren't they? Right, back after the news and obituary notices.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
The Clanry Hotel Letterkenny present Kjol, Ireland's newest folk band, with a passion for reviving traditional music. Live on Saturday the 18th of March. Tickets priced €25 are available from reception or pay at the door. And from Friday the 24th to Sunday the 26th of March, Clanry goes country with the Clanry Country Weekend. Overnight packages available. Call the Clanry Hotel on 9124369.
Keep your car or van running smoothly with a service at Hegarty's Ford in Letterkenny. Not only will it minimise the risk of a major repair expense, but it will be logged in your vehicle's service handbook and help its resale value. Hegarty's also offer everything from new and pre-owned car sales to parts and body repairs in their approved body shop. Book a service online this month and save €30 when you use the code FORD30. You're always in good hands at Hegarty's Ford, Carnamugga, Letterkenny. See hegartys.com.
Don't know if you know Alice and Pat. Late 40s, couple of kids, been together 17 years. Never married, of course, but that's not a problem. Until Until something happens, and suddenly words like unmarried, inheritance, and substantial tax bill enter the equation. You never need proper estate planning. Until you do. That's why the experienced team at McElhenney & Associates are here to help. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney & Associates Solicitors, Stranola.
Let BizPrint the Printers help with your business marketing and printing to get your 2023 off to the right start. BizPrint the Printers, Port Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 77955 or see bizprint.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. A small business in Ballybofey has received an electricity bill for over €1,000 on Friday morning. Bernie Maguire, owner of Stitch It Bernie, says she does not understand what caused her bill to be so high. Speaking on the 9 to Noon show this morning, she says she needs to make €110 every day just to cover her expenses.
I have 11 bills before you earn any wages at all. And your rent, your insurance, your rate, your diesel, your electric, water, then your stock, then the property tax, oils, the accounts man, and then advertising, and then of course you need the phone. So all them needs paid, which doesn't really leave you with an awful amount of money altogether. So I would need to earn over €110 a day to make any profit then after that. Trousers, hems would be a tenner with me, and that would kind of be the quickest job that you can do. But that still would take 11 pairs a day. That would take nearly 5 hours work. So you only have 2 hours of anything coming in.
Police were attacked in Derry last night while they conducted a search close to the Calais border. Tara Duggan has more.
The PSNI say officers came under attack when bottles and stones were thrown at them in the McGowan Park area of Derry last night. They were conducting a search operation in the vicinity of Brayhead Road in relation to recent violent dissident Republican terrorism. Shortly before 7 p.m, they came under sporadic attack from a group of approximately 30 young people who'd gathered in the area. Some vehicles were damaged, but no injuries were reported. Police say they liaised with local community representatives who persuaded the crowd to disperse. The operation ended at 7:30 and police then left the area.
Tax breaks for renters and landlords are being described as too little, too late. They're among the measures being introduced by the government to address the fallout from the lifting of the eviction ban. Estate agent Sherry Fitzgerald says 21,000 landlords have left the market in the last 12 months alone. Managing Director Marie Finnegan says emergency services are needed to stop the exodus of landlords right now, not in the weeks and months ahead.
So what we need is a measure that will actually tell the landlords that over a period of time, not just this year, but let's say over a 3 to 5 year period, so that their tax position will improve significantly. That may stop half of them or a proportion of them leaving the marketplace. And surely retaining what we have in terms of available accommodation is probably the first thing that we need to do.
Dog owners are being urged to ensure their animals are under control after another sheep kill at the weekend, this time in Gweedore. Gardaí confirmed at the weekend that 2 lambs in Yo were killed in Derrybeg. Councillor Michael McClafferty says the attacks like these impact badly on farmers.
I think for certain in society people don't actually appreciate either the amount of work and time the farmers and effort to put into this all year round, building up to this time of year till the springtime till they get the sheep lambing. The sheep and the lamb are very important, no more than the cow and the calf. The price of stuff at the minute, the price of the feed and the cost of general running farms, nobody can handle it then when something like this comes along, then destruction of your product. It's putting the pressure on the business and certainly putting pressure on the livelihood.
8 in 10 Irish workers think a 4-day working week will become reality within the next 10 years. However, a new Hayes Ireland survey shows just 3.5% of workplaces have brought it in or trialled it. It's found 95% of professionals think here it would be a good idea. Hayes Ireland Operations Director Maureen Lynch says more employers would consider it if workers come into the office.
I suppose what was interesting when you delve further into the research, when it came to, as you know, we're now working for the most part where possible a hybrid working week, but that's 17% moved to 36%. Where, from an employer's perspective, they would consider it if employees would forfeit hybrid and come into the office 4 days a week.
A yellow weather warning for snow and ice has been issued for a number of counties, including Donegal. Met Éireann say wintry showers will lead to icy conditions in some areas tonight and tomorrow morning, with a chance of hazardous road conditions and slippery paths. The warning comes into effect at 8 o'clock tonight and lasts until 12 noon tomorrow. A similar warning has also been issued for Derry and Tyrone. And now to weather. Widespread showers or longer spells of rain today. Heavy in places with a chance of some spot flooding. After a mild start, afternoon temperatures falling back between 4 and 8 degrees, with some heavy showers becoming wintry. Strong and gusty southwest winds veering northerly during the course of the day. That's it for now. We'll be back again with the news headlines at 11 o'clock.
The image notices for this Monday morning, the 13th of March. The death has taken place of Patrick Paddy Hume, 6 Iona Park, Derry. Paddy's wake will commence at his home this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Funeral from there on Wednesday morning at 9:30. For 10 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Columba's Church, Longtower, followed by interment in the city cemetery. Family time please from 9 p.m. to 11 a.m. The Mass can be viewed live via the church webcam. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to Deeds, care of the Old Library Trust, Cregan. The death has taken place of Eamon McLaughlin, 2 Foster Terrace, Moville. His remains are reposing at his home. Funeral Mass on Wednesday morning at 11 in St Pius X Church, Moville, followed by cremation in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan at 5:15. Eamon's funeral Mass can be viewed live on movilleparish.com. Family time please from 9 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only please, donations if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Edward Eddie Gallagher, Ballybun, Castlefin, reposing at Lynch's funeral home from 1 o'clock this afternoon, with removal at 4:15 to St Mary's Church, Castlefin, via Ballybun to repose overnight, arriving at approximately 5 o'clock. Requiem Mass will be celebrated tomorrow morning at 11. Interment afterwards in St Mary's Cemetery, Castlefin. The death has occurred of Eric Byrne, Roxborough, Kilcar. Funeral arrangements will be confirmed later. The death has occurred of Kathleen Bannigan, née Buchanan, 39, Woodlawn, Stranorlar. Kathleen is reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranorlar at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in Drumbo Cemetery. Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to Mary's Meals, care of any family member. Family time please from 11 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. The death has taken place of Ida Sweeney, Green Hill, Letterkenny. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 in the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Letterkenny, with burial afterwards in New Leck Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on the Church of the Irish Martyrs YouTube channel. The death has taken place of Charles Joseph Mongan, 47, College Park, Letterkenny. Requiem Mass in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny this morning at 11, followed by burial in New Leck Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Columba McDwyer, Cara Court, Carrick-on-Shannon, formerly of Kilrain, Glenties, Donegal. Colum will repose this evening from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock at the Heritage Centre Chapel of Rest, Church Lane, Carrick-on-Shannon. Removal to St Mary's Church tomorrow morning for funeral Mass at 12 noon, followed by burial in St Mary's Cemetery. The funeral Mass will be streamed live on churchtv.ie. The death has occurred of Mary Assumpta Gallagher, Arnans, Burton Port. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 in St Columba's Church Acres, with interment afterwards in Belcrich Cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired to Cancer Care West, care of any family member, or Sean Medlin, funeral director. The death has taken place of Patrick Paddy Ward, 32, Lisbonny Road, Dunnamana. Remains reposing at his home. Funeral from there today at 10:20 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Ahabrack at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish YouTube channel. And the death has occurred of Paddy McGill, Meenahalla, Glenties. Removal from his residence this morning at 22:11, going to St Connell's Church, Glenties, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Family flowers only, please. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Very good.
There you are at your local shop. Mother's Day card in one hand and a fancy schmancy scented candle in the other. Only to look up and see the display of scratch cards. And you think, why not pop an all cash in the envelope? The smile on Mum's face will really light up the room if she wins big. With millions in cash prizes to be won instantly, when you're in store for Mother's Day, ask for any all cash scratch card. The National Lottery. It could be your mum. Gift responsibly.
All right, good morning to you. You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning if you're just joining us. We had quite some interesting conversations in the first hour talking about electricity, dumping and transport around Letterkenny. You can watch or listen back at your leisure if you missed the first hour. Just a quick call out to those of you listening on the podcast, or if you are listening to the replay overnight, feel free to get involved in the conversation as well. By the way, you can WhatsApp or text 08660 25000 and we can pick them up in the morning. The same with emails, comments at highlandradio.com. We have, it's great to have our sponsors on board this week. They are St Mary's GEA Convoy. They're having a development draw, and it's 50k for €50. The draw's taking place on Friday. We have 2 tickets for that to give away. So stay tuned for that. I'll tell you how in a moment. I just want to get through some of your comments here. Athlone has 11 new electric buses. Count them, 11, with just 1,000 more in the population. It's ridiculous. Letterkenny has no public bus service whatsoever. Sligo also has quite a good bus town service. It would make it so much more convenient. If I were a business, I'd be screaming it from the rafters. The thought of being able to jump on a central location, jump off, get back on another bus, get back to where you're starting. You know, I think it would revolutionise the town if it was done correctly. My only concern would be is the movement of the buses. If not enough people switch over, you know what I mean? That you could find the buses stuck in traffic. Again, I don't want to be negative, but those are problems that need to be addressed beforehand. The people who discard their empty energy drink cans and sandwich wrappers are in the younger age bracket, in my opinion. They can't blame lack of education and awareness regarding the issue of littering. It's suggested that older folk are more likely to litter. I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to targeting any particular group of individuals in that regard, to be honest with you. Speaking of which, maybe you've been tracking the Gary Lineker story. He says that he and the BBC have reached an agreement that will see him return to Match of the Day on Saturday. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of coverage of that on UK TV channels, British channels. But anyway, that situation, it seems, has been resolved. Back to your comments, though. On the topic of dogs, owners do not tie their dogs up. They're left to roam. There's nothing done about it. Another, good morning, Greg. I live 15 miles from Letterkenny and all I see is takeaway boxes from within the town. It's a disgrace. It is a disgrace. Greg, on Friday I happened to be parked in Creasla and noticed a few students get off the school bus walking past where the explosion was. The footpath is extremely narrow. This is a main route with a lot of heavy vehicles passing. Could a better footpath space not be made there? It looked to me like an accident waiting to happen. Any other parents in that area concerned about that? Let's get back to the cost of running a business. I agree with Bernie. In most jobs these days, you'd be better off at home. It's the sad reality. Business owners and working parents alike, it's an awful attitude to take, but why would we encourage our children to go to college to end up working to pay bills and barely make enough to make ends meet? As a working parent, you lose out on so much like back to school allowance, school transport, medical card. During holiday times, children of parents parents who don't work get free holiday camps. Working parents who need childcare have to pay. It's a ridiculous system, they think. It's not about working versus non-working. Massive respect to all. I'm highlighting our very broken system. I think you've been fair in your comments there, and it didn't come across as anti-anything. I know it's disappointing for the volunteers to see more rubbish the next day, but I suppose the only solution is for each area community to draw up a rota for a regular clean-up. Sure, the government have no money for that. Why don't the Greens focus on this kind of pollution control? But sure, then there might not be enough profit for favoured groups, companies. Well, they will say to you, look, we're bringing in we are getting rid of one-off plastic. We are bringing in a deposit scheme for plastic bottles. This is what we're doing, but the truth is we on the ground know that it's us that ends up having to clean up the mess. The government policies have little or no impact. Littering, says this caller, is a bit like the 4-lane project. Soon as there are a few prosecutions highlighted, everyone's behaviour changes. That's what we need in littering. A few more fines and there would be less of an issue. You know what? You make a point that cannot be argued with. The speed limit for the 4 lanes seemed to be 70 or 80. That's what drivers were driving at. There was one weekend where tickets were handed out, and now all of a sudden it's 50, 60. So, I can see, because I use that road regularly, what you're saying is true. The prosecutions are not prosecutions as such, but the fines have completely changed the behaviour of traffic on that project. You'd be interested to see if any of the workers have noticed that. And we have very few prosecutions for littering. And this name and shame crack of people appearing because they're in court, appearing in places. I'm not a fan of that anyway, to be honest with you. We live in a small community. People make mistakes. Obviously there are some crimes that can't be ignored, but embarrassing people who've been done for speeding or littering, I'm not a fan of that. I'm just not going to lie to you, because it'll come to all of our doors eventually down that route. Okay, but I think certainly big fines are the job. The name and shame side of things, it's not for me, I'm afraid. How many prosecutions have the litter wardens in Donegal had? There were figures recently. It wasn't fantastic. It might have been a little more than I was expecting. But anyway, I'll try and check those stats for you. Maybe one of the local authority members are listening. Maybe there's a councillor listening that would do us a favour so that I make sure I'm quoting proper figures and let us know what the rate of prosecution has been for littering in Donegal as of late. If any of you are listening, I'd really appreciate it. Rather than me when I do try and dig it up, it could be out-of-date figures. What about bringing the Donegal International Rally on board in a campaign to keep your county clean? I'm sure they wouldn't be found wanting if they were approached for some sort of an innovative campaign or scheme, which is what I think we need to do. A caller says Fanad must rank as the most scenic area of Donegal, but sadly probably the most littered. It seems people there view their car windows as personal rubbish disposal units. Furthermore, there's not one council bin between Kerrykeelan and Fanad Head. Time local elected officials got their acts together. We had a super spring clean in Rathmullen on all the approach roads, beaches, streets and pier area on Saturday. Well done to all of you. A huge thank you to all who assisted, and unfortunately, it's sad to note, we had a full trailer load of rubbish picked up. We can totally agree with the sentiments of Councillor Niamh Kennedy in relation to bins near the seafront and around the car park area, abused very much on a daily basis by mindless littering and birds causing havoc early in the mornings. Hopefully, the levy on takeaway cups, etc. will have an impact in months to come. Dog fouling's a huge issue on a daily basis. While we love our furry friends, just take your poo bags home, please. That comes in from Hazel. Thanks, Hazel. Well done to everyone around Rathmullen. Beautiful area. And I think I might know the Hazel in question, who's a tireless worker for that area. And we appreciate all that all of you do for the wider community. Last one, just before we take the bingo numbers. Hi, Greg. In relation to rubbish, they need to make bins compulsory. In our area, when the bin lorry calls, there are very few houses with bins. If those people who are throwing out rubbish had a bin at home, I think they would put their stuff in the bin when they come home. Yeah, I think most people that don't have a bin are burning it. I said it quickly so it didn't sound controversial. I'm not sure the people without bins are dumping it. I think it's being burnt. That would be my suspicion. So, I mean, that's not allowed either, is it? So that's not a good thing. But I don't necessarily think that the dumping that we're talking of is coming from people not having a bin. I think their rubbish is probably being incinerated. Right, let's take... I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a reminder of this competition we've got running on the show this week. It's in association with our sponsors. You could win €50,000 on St. Patrick's Day. Wouldn't it be nice? Here's the details as to how you can enter this competition.
On this week's show, with thanks to our sponsor, St Mary's GEA Convoy Development Draw, we're giving you the chance to win 2 tickets to their 50k for €50 draw. To be in with a chance of winning this prize, all you have to do is answer the following question. What year did Donegal last win the Sam Maguire? Was it A, 2012, or B, 2020? Text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25,000.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 13th of March. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S11. It's game number 11. The numbers are 23, 6, 43, 33, 63, 54, 50, 39, 62, and finally 67. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
New football boots for the season ahead at Brian McCormick Sports. Classic triple black boots in soft ground. Adidas Predator accuracy with improved texture across the strike zone in classic soft ground sole unit. Try the classic Puma King Top SG with a sleek soft leather in classic 6 stud for extra grip. Get back to training with all your essentials, shorts, socks, gum shield and kit bag. Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny. Click bmcsports.ie.
Enjoy live music this St. Patrick's Day at the Highlands Hotel Glenties with the Tumbling Paddies. On Saturday 18th, it's Jerry Guthrie and Sinead Black. Tickets from ticketstop.ie or from the hotel reception. And why not finish the weekend by treating Mum to Mother's Day lunch this Sunday? To book your table, call the Highlands Hotel Glenties today.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Okay, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Scrapman Davies on our Facebook saying, I take anything metal for free, Greg. Trying to keep the county tidy. Good man, Davy. Do you take old exercise bikes, and do you take, asking for a friend, do you take old treadmills, Davey? Message me. Okay, thanks very much. We're joined in studio now by Davy Bell, youth worker with the Donegal Youth Service. Good morning.
Morning, Greg.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
And the Donegal Youth Service it's not just sitting there idly doing nothing. You have an awful lot of engagement with our young people, don't you?
We do, Greg. We're getting very busy there. I'm a youth worker on the Elevate 55 project, so the listeners will probably be wondering what is Elevate 55. So Elevate 55 is the project that was formerly known as The Loft, which I'm sure a lot of listeners out there would be aware of, based in the Port Road. So Elevate 55 as a project now, we're going to be focusing our efforts on the north central region of Donegal, which is from Letterkenny as far up as Fannet Head, taking in the area that the schools in Milford would be covering.
And for your drop-in events, you have huge turnouts.
We do, Greg. We're getting very busy. There, just on Friday night past, I was working our drop-in, and we had 89 young people dropping into the building there between the hours of 5 and 9. A lot of them staying for the full duration, making access to the pool and the table tennis and our games consoles, and
they just sit around mixing, really.
Yeah, they come in. They've got access to the free tea and coffee. We've got our music room space there, which we'll touch on a wee bit later on about our event this Friday.
So,
yeah.
And I mean, every town should have that because, you know, like, I know, I don't want to mention any specific towns, but if you don't booze, there's nothing to do. You know, if there's not a bowling alley, Letterkenny's got a lot of stuff, right? But there's a lot of towns don't have anything to do from when you're 8, the playground, till 18, the pub. Now, we're going to talk about drinking. Not everyone wants to drink either. In fact, most young people don't drink. Not a lot of people realise that. But there's like 10 years there where there's nothing for young people to do. You know, and then we talk about the big projects like skateboarding parks and all that kind of stuff. But just a space where young ones can call in, it's dry, and have the crack. Do we need more of these? Maybe there are more of Elevate 55s than I'm aware of around the county. Are there? I mean, is there one in Killybegs? Is there one in Donegal Town? Is there one in Dunlow? Is there one in Ballybofey? I'm not asking you to answer the question. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's a fantastic facility. It sounds like it. There should be one for everyone.
I totally agree, Greg. Me, myself, I live in rural Donegal, and I would have had my local youth club on a Friday night, which, again, like the young people that are coming on to us now, was somewhere for me to go socialise with my friends on a weekly basis. And I think it's something very important that we get more of. We get greater funding and greater support to have this open, or drop-ins open 2 nights a week. It could be open longer.
For sure, because, you know, the young people get an awful lot of abuse, not on this programme, because we like to be constructive and proactive, and we speak to young people. You know, we don't speak about them, we bring them in and we talk about what they're doing and what projects they're on and what they want to see and what they think can be done better. You know, this country needs to speak to young people more than at them. But they get criticism because they're hanging around here, or we even had situations where noises were being put out to stop them accumulating. You know, people saying, oh, there's a group of lads walking down the street and I felt intimidated. They've nothing to do in most of the county. These young people have nothing to do except either sit in the house or if they go outside. So I think the likes of Elevate 55 is fantastic. And as I say, there should be access a number of nights a week or evenings a week all over the place. Because you're seeing the success of it. 89 is a brilliant turnout, and they're all having crack. You know, playing FIFA or playing pool or whatever they're doing, playing their favourite song they've heard lately or whatever, introducing them to the new act.
Yeah, it's a great facility. We would have a lot of young people from the iPass centre in town coming in and making use of it, and I think them themselves would say it's been a great asset for them to integrate into Letterkenny and to get to know more young people and more people in the area.
Yeah, and I mean, you know young people, you work with them. They're great, aren't they? We've got amazing young people, and the majority of them don't do drugs. The majority of them don't drink. Some do, and we need to offer help and services and alternatives for them. But the majority they're good young people. The future is bright. Like, you see that, I'm sure.
Oh, it is, yeah. It is, Greg. Young people are our future, and as a society, we need to focus on our young people and give them the best opportunities possible to become the best people that they can be.
Right, what's happening next St. Patrick's Day then, this Friday?
So we're open this St. Patrick's Day for our non-alcoholic event. It's something that the organisation's run for numerous years, and it's been a great success. So we're open 2 to 6 in our centre on the 16 to 18 Port Road, Letterkenny. And the big thing is we've got a live gig with bands that have come through the centre. So we've got a band that's Marigold, and we've got our newest band, Air Bears, who are a group of 3 young boys who didn't know each other this time last year. They came into our drop-in, they got to know each other, they attended our rock school event and realised that they had a keen interest in the same types of music and have formed the band.
How exciting for them to be able to gig on St. Patrick's Day.
They're
not just that, they're both bands.
They're both bands are in. They're in this evening. They're going to be on Wednesday night, making use of our practice space, the music room there in the centre, and they're really excited. They're really looking forward to it, and we're really looking forward to seeing what they put on.
No booze, no drugs. Obviously, that's the whole premise of this.
That's the whole premise. Ourselves, as like everybody else, are well aware of the stigma around St. Patrick's Day and the stigma around alcohol. So we're offering this event to young people county-wide, not just Letterkenny. It's open to anybody to come in. And if it's anything like our previous years, I'm sure we'll be up there in numbers again.
So, just so I'm clear, is the Loft now called Elevate 55, or is Elevate 55 an initiative within the Loft? Just because I'll be referencing this in weeks to come when you're not here.
So Elevate 55 is now the project name. That's the project that covers the whole North Central region.
Understood.
The Loft is still our drop-in space in Letterkenny.
Get you.
We were very, very keen to keep the name of the Loft.
Brilliant. So the Loft is the Loft. Elevate 55 is the umbrella name for the stuff that you do with the young people. Okay.
So as you can see in my jacket, Greg, our logo is Elevate 55, and underneath it we've got Powered by the Loft. So the Loft is still there.
I needed it. All right. Okay. Brilliant. So say, for instance, there's parents, guardians listening. And you know they're saying, listen, I was listening on the 9 till noon show this morning, and Park was on talking about Elevate 55 in the Loft, right? How do you encourage them to get along, or how could you just turn up, not just for this event, but generally speaking? Can I'm a young person. I want to make new friends. I want to be in a different environment. Don't want to be around drink or alcohol or drugs. Do I just turn up? Do I have to register? Do I have to speak to you first? How does it all work?
So our centre Monday to Thursday we're open 12 to 6. On Friday we're open to 9 o'clock, and on Saturday we're open 2 to 6. Any young person can just come in off the street between the ages of 12 and 18, make themselves aware to any staff member. It doesn't even have to be an Elevate 55 staff member, and they can make use of the drop-in centre. We do have our closed groups, which they can get a consent form filled in for, and they can attend.
More info when you're there. Yeah, okay, brilliant. Anything else you want to mention, Pork?
No, hopefully it's a good day on Friday.
You have a roof, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And we have a prime viewing spot from the third floor of the building for the parade as well.
Sounds like it's going to be a fantastic event. It's an alcohol-free St. Patrick's Day celebration. It's in Letterkenny, but it's for all of the young people from right around the county if they want to come in. It's organised by, it's the Elevate 55 event. It's in the Loft Drop-In Centre. It starts at 2, runs to 6, 2 live bands as well that kind of were formed as a result of the young ones landing into the Loft.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Look forward to it then, so.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, and hopefully it's another great event for everybody that attends.
And inclusivity too is an important part of. And do you have a very diverse group of young people that come to the Loft?
We do. We have young people from all around the world attending, boys, girls.
How do they get on with each other?
They get on relatively well. Teenagers themselves can have their fallouts, but they get on really well.
But I mean, they don't fall out over them being different.
No, no.
And the reason I ask you that is everyone's debating at the moment about, what we should or shouldn't do. The young people are just getting on with it. They're living their lives. They're not judging each other based on their pronouns or their colour of their skin or their sexual orientation. They just all meet up in the Loft and play pool, listen to music.
Yeah, the Loft, if you want to be treated equal in the world, the Loft is the prime place to come. Yeah. Every young person is treated the same, no matter,
and treats each other equally.
Yes.
I know from the young people I'm around, it's not the stuff that's being debated at the moment. They're living it. They don't care. They just want to be around people their own age, and for them to be nice to them, and them to be nice to them, if that makes sense, to each other. All right, listen, Porg, looking forward to it. I'm sure many are out there. I'm not, because I'm too old. But it is the alcohol-free St. Patrick's Day celebration, 17th of March 2023, of course. It's at the Loft. It runs from 2 to 6 p.m. Loads of entertainment, of course, with the 2 bands, and then all the usual stuff and facilities that are always in the Loft. And if you want any more information about maybe pointing a young person in your life in the direction of the Loft, maybe it's good for them to expand their friends group or meet different friends or what have you. Who can they contact just to have a quick chat about?
They can give us a ring, call the office on 074 9129 630, and they'll be directed to a member of the Elevate 55 team.
All right, fair play to you, Park. Thanks for calling up.
Thanks very much,
Have a lovely day, St. Patrick's Day. Back with more soon.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Laptop? Check. Spanner? Check. Screwdriver? Check. A career built around me? Check. Bring your best self to work every day with exciting heavy vehicle mechanic apprenticeship opportunities with Bus Éireann and Dublin Bus. We are leading the way in sustainable public transport, moving from fossil fuel to zero emissions. Join our team and help keep Ireland on the road to greener journeys. Enjoy a career that's built around you. To apply, visit careers.buseireann.ie today.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Householders and building owners in areas susceptible to wildfires are advised to cut back or remove any vegetation or other combustible material in the vicinity of their house, building or oil tank to prevent wildfires damaging or destroying their property. Cleared areas should be maintained free of vegetation and combustible material. Donegal County Council would like to remind landowners and members of the public that under the Wildlife Act 1976 and 2000, it is an offence to cut, grub, burn or otherwise destroy any vegetation growing on any land not then cultivated between the 1st day of March and the 31st day of August in any year. Landowners are also reminded that under the Waste Management Regulations 2023, the burning of agricultural waste is currently prohibited. Donegal County Council, protecting your environment.
PDO Thread Lifts, the ultimate non-surgical lift for the skin, improving facial contours, lifting and tightening jowls, the neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Eudore. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Eudore, 07495 325 75.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie. This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
SuperValu makes saving money as easy as
1, 2, 3, go!
1. We match Aldi on the products you love. 2. Great special offers like Andrex Classic Clean Mega 9 Roll, only €7. Exclusive to Real Rewards members only. And 3. Money off vouchers every week on the app. Follow the 1, 2, 3 and save money at SuperValu. T's and C's apply.
It's Cheltenham Week in the Star. First up, get our free bumper preview magazine to get you in the winning mood. We talk to record-breaking Willie Mullins on the brink of a century of Cheltenham Festival winners. Davy Russell is in bonus territory as he embarks on his final festival. We hear from former stockbroker Barry Connell on swapping banks for Cheltenham bankers. Rory DeLargy picks 5 handicap good things, and we bring you Brian Flanagan's best bets of the week, plus lots more. All in your free bumper Cheltenham preview magazine. Tomorrow, only in the Irish Daily Star.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
We at Highland Radio love Irish music and we want to show our support. Throughout Irish Music Month this March, in partnership with Hot Press Magazine, we're asking you to support the Irish musicians, artists and bands who make every party, every drive home and every day magic. That's right. To celebrate Irish Music Month on Highland Radio, we're asking you to support Irish artists and musicians by buying Irish albums, Irish tickets, Irish t-shirts and Irish music merch. Irish musicians have shown that they are right up there with the best in the world, so let's support them by buying Irish. Proudly supported by Highland Radio, Hot Press, IBI and the BAI Sound and Vision Fund.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Lanzarote, Mallorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, so widespread showers or longer spells of rain today, heavy in places with the chance of spot flooding. After a mild start, colder air will move in during the late morning and afternoon, and some of the showers will turn wintry later in the day. Temperatures of 4 to 8 degrees, but you could wake up to some frost and ice tomorrow. Right, now, we know that there's been a lot of conversation recently about transgenderism being taught in primary schools, and it's elicited quite a lot of different views. We're joined by two guests to discuss this a little bit further. Deputy Peadar Tobin, AIM2 leader. Peadar, thanks for your time this morning. Great to see you again.
Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate it.
And very pleased to welcome onto the programme Hayley Fox-Roberts, who's a community development worker and board member of NXF, the National LGBT Federation. Good morning, Hayley.
Good morning. Good to see you.
And it's good to see you and good to have you on. And thanks both of you for facilitating this as we try and, we can all learn and listeners can learn and I can learn. We never stop learning, do we? All right, Deputy Peadar Tobin, what do you have issue with in terms of this current conversation, the potential outcome of it?
Okay, so firstly, I do believe that we need an education system of compassion. Gender dysphoria is real, and it's not easy at all for anyone. And no matter what situation a student is in, we need to make sure that a student is treated with respect and compassion at all times. So, everybody is equally valued in this republic, and that's really important. But the government, I suppose, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are embarking on quite a radical change in the primary education system. And there's little or no debate in relation to it at all. And so what they're looking to do is they're looking to teach 8 to 9-year-old children what it means to be transgender, etc. And, all the research on this has shown that most parents are opposed to children that young having to deal with concepts,
All right, Peadar seems to have frozen out there. We'll just wait for a second for him to come in. Right, okay.
But the idea that we would...
Peadar, sorry, you just cut out there, and I just want to ask you a question. When you say all evidence suggests that parents are against this, what research are we talking about, and what question was put to them? Do you know what I mean? Because we don't know precisely what's going to be taught in schools. If it is just to say that transgender people exist and to understand them, that parents might have a different response. If we were going to get into the nitty-gritty of it, then parents might say, oh, no, not for my 8 to 9-year-old. So just so we're clear, do you know the research and what question was actually put to parents, seeing as you're quoting it?
Yeah, so a number of polling companies in recent times, Red C and, Ireland Thinks for the Sunday Independent, have put questions such as, the question that was put in Ireland Thinks was, Children's Minister has said that primary school children should be educated about what it means to be transgender. Do you agree or disagree? Mm-hmm. And to that question, the majority of parents said that they disagree. And also the Department of Education and the NCCA took in submissions from parents, and over 4,000 parents made submissions. And we understand that the majority of those parents that made submissions went to the bother of getting involved in a consultation process with the NCCA and put in submissions which opposed teaching children this.
Okay, and one more question before Hayley comes in, because I'm obviously give it equal time here. What are your concerns? We can reference like I was just speaking to a representative from a youth project here in Letterkenny, okay, and it's open to all teenagers. There's teenagers that would identify as transgender. They're people of different colour, different sexual orientation. They all get on. They all respect each other. They're all happy. No issue. Young people in my life, they've got friends who prefer the they, them pronouns. I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but it's in the same space. They've got no issue with it, right? It's just their life. It's the people that are around them. So it's already happening and the young ones seem to be getting on with it. What are you concerned about as someone who's the school years are long behind them?
Well, the concern I have is that the government's approach so far in terms of this issue, it hasn't been based on evidence or based on science or based on fact. It's heavily based on ideology. So, for example, we had Professor Donal O'Shea, who came before the Oireachtas Committee, and he was talking about the government who were also seeking to allow 16 to 18-year-olds transition without parental consent. He was saying,
but Peter, if you don't mind, what is your concern with 8 and 9-year-olds being taught about this? I'm asking about what your concern is personally. What do you think might happen? No, you're quoting other people. What might happen? What do you think is going to happen if this happens?
But Greg, I'm quoting the medics on this. I'm quoting the scientists in this now. So the government's approach to this in Ireland has been based on an idea of gender affirmation. And, that is the key element of the government's approach. So gender affirmation can be quite dangerous, because what it does is if a child affirms or seeks to change gender, the government's approach is just to affirm that and not to see are there other comorbidities.
Okay, we'll come back to that actually, because I want both of you views.
I'd like to say to Greg, though, in fairness, just for a second.
Okay, I was trying to focus specifically on that area, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's just what I'm saying to you is the science and the medics and most European countries are actually going against the Irish government's direction on this.
Okay.
They're saying that the government's policy in this is ideologically based and it's not based on evidence. And if we're going to teach children, we need to teach them on the basis of evidence.
All right, Hayley. Now, sorry, thank you so much for your patience. I just wanted to make it so I knew exactly where Deputy Tobin was coming from. Now, Hayley, what do you agree or disagree with Peadar there on?
Well, I'd like to bring a couple of points up there. I mean, one thing is, Deputy, you're talking about evidence-based research. You're talking about some very specific commercial polls that were done, particularly one by the Sunday Independent, which actually has carried so much anti-transgender information and coverage over the past months that one could assume it was, had an opinion of its own. But more importantly, you're saying all medical research says that this is purely ideological. If you were to look at research conducted by Belong to LGBT Youth Services, by the Transgender Equality Network Ireland, by LGBT Ireland, I think you would see a very different picture. The phrase used was transgenderism being taught in schools, and that is absolutely dissembling. What we are talking about here is effective sex education, sexual and relationship education, which is of great importance to young people, whether they grow up to be straight or gay or bisexual or trans or whatever. Learning about relationships, learning about consent, learning about respect for one's own body is tremendously important. So yes, you say that just gender dysphoria is indeed a very difficult and challenging issue for young people. But while the approach of, we won't mention that in school, that doesn't allow for the fact that young people of 8 and 9 years old are exploring both their gender in the sense of, who am I in the world? What does this mean that I am being called boy or girl? And they may well not feel that they fit into either of those. Now, that's not to say that they will transition as they get older. They may find that their gender expression is different. That's to say, we might find that someone, who is a little girl actually likes to dress like a boy, likes to do boy-type things, as we're told they are. So really, I think a lot of this conflict is about the role of gender in our society anyway, and that does kind of reflect in a way to the forthcoming referenda about the constitutional changes to the role of women in the home. But what is most important at this stage is that what is being offered is comprehensive and compassionate sex and relationship.
Hayley, a lot of parents I would speak, and a lot of... Go ahead, yes, sorry. I didn't mean to cut across you there. Go on ahead.
And the way this is being portrayed in particular elements of the media is to say that children are being taught to be transgender, and that is not true. And I think it would serve people well to see the facts, evidence indeed, before assuming that transgenderism being taught like it's some kind of way.
Or maybe talk about transgender issues might be a better way of me describing it. But speaking to parents outside of what direction a paper or any organisation might be in, what parents are contacting us saying they're concerned about is that, you can be in flux at that age. there's an awful lot going on as is, and that, what might be normal experimental way of going on, or the rise and fall in estrogen or testosterone or whatever it might be, that we could be confusing children, that rather than going through a stage and things settling down, that to make sure that the smaller group of young people are looked after, that we could be doing greater damage to a wider cohort, planting seeds of confusion or doubt in their mind when they're already traversing a very difficult time of their lives.
I think young people are very capable, and yes, there is so much happening in their lives at that age. I don't think adding to their information, adding to their bank of knowledge and education, I don't think that's confusing. I think what's confusing is a society that says some of those children are wrong, or that what some of those children grow up into is not right. If we look at the absolute rise in transphobia, then by not mentioning this in schools, what we are doing is reaffirming that trans children are not accepted in our society.
Yeah, Pader, I think Leo Varadkar sort of put it like this: that transgender people exist, and you accept that, and school is about educating young people about life and what exists. So, would that not make sense then to educate them so they have that understanding?
I think we really need to kind of accept that science is moving away from the policy of gender affirmation. The Norwegian medical watchdog, just in the last number of weeks, called on the government to change its gender affirmation care guidelines because of the danger that it was causing to children. The NHS in Britain is now saying the gender affirmation care model is not the model to use for children. We have a situation at the moment where so many children are actually detransitioning, and so many adults are detransitioning. Yesterday was Detransition Awareness Day internationally. These are children who basically had gender dysphoria in their lives, where maybe we're not sure or confused about what gender they were, but the state agencies took them on a pathway of gender change. In some cases, they went through significant surgery that was irreversible. In some situations, they went through puberty blockers, which are chemicals which rendered them infertile. And these are individuals who are now radically suffering just because of an ideology that's not science-based.
All right.
And, Hayley mentioned 3 campaign groups there as, organizations that we should listen to. These are activist-based organizations.
There's some really powerful comments there that will stick in people's heads. So I want Hayley, if she feels that they need to be sort of tempered to come in at this point, if that's okay, Pater.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I think you will find that the numbers of people detransitioning have been wildly inflated by gender-critical activist groups in the UK, and that is being further conflated by the media. You talk about the medical formations in UK. The Tavistock Centre its terms of practice was queried, not what it was doing, its terms of practice, its operations. And that's a similar thing that happens in many hospitals in Ireland. So although those issues were addressed and they have now been sorted, there is not a change to the medical practice. It was a change to how the practice is delivered.
Okay, Hayley.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
One last thing.
Can I come in there, Greg?
Of course, just let Hayley finish this last thing, please. Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about these 3 organisations as being activist and campaigning organisations, as if that somehow makes them less warrantable. I think you will find that all the research conducted by those organisations, which are organisations that support the LGBTI plus communities of Ireland, that their research is university accredited, it is scientifically done as any of the scientific research you've read. And I would suggest, Paddy, that you read that rather than dismissing those organisations as being, I take it to be, mere activists.
Go ahead, Pater.
So there's a big change happening in our education system at the moment, and most of it, is happening without debate. I spoke to a teacher recently who had attended an in-service day. And at that in-service day, they were told not to use the word mother and father in classroom anymore because the use of mother and father wasn't inclusive. If you look at the NCCA, the Curriculum Association that designs for our children, they have a website which provides links.
Can I just say one thing about the mother and father thing, if you don't mind? Because my children lost their mother when they were very young. right? Now, I'm not saying mother and father should never be used, okay? But I can, or if you've got single parent families, is there not an argument, Patter, though, for that language, that we look at that language to recognise that everybody in the audience, so to speak, that come from a different background, and that certain words could be... I'm not suggesting... I don't want anyone texting and saying, oh, so you don't want mother to be used in the classroom because of your own... I don't mean it like that there. But is this not sort of in the same space where we consider that we aren't excluding or upsetting any children in our language, presuming that everybody is straight with their mum and dad?
Okay, well, just let me just finish a point first, and I'll get to that element. So the NCCA website provides a source which says to teachers, don't use the words boys and girls in class, because that's not inclusive. We had a government just in the last year that tried to get rid of the word woman out of the legislation around maternity services in this country. The HSC provided a leaflet around cervical check that said people with a cervix rather than woman with a cervix. We have, unfortunately, at the moment, an effort by some people to nearly re-engineer the language that people are allowed even use in this space. And all we're saying is, yes, there are trans people, and trans people need to be protected, supported, and helped. But what we also need to do is recognize that an 8-year-old who, might say to me, I want to stay awake till 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night, or I want 3 ice creams, who's not, doesn't have the sense or the logic to be able to make decisions as simple as what time to go to bed at, that we should not be introducing.
I imagine, though, it's not something that happens in one given night when they don't want to go to bed. I presume you would see a pattern and you would understand over the course of a lifetime pattern. But I understand where you're coming from. Hayley, sorry, you wanted to come in there.
Just around the language, you say that people are not allowed to use certain words. I think rather more is people are being educated to be more sensitive in their language. So you mentioned the cervical check leaflet, and you seem irate that it can't just say woman. So am I assuming that you would like trans men to not have cervical checks? Because that's what...
Well, I think you could have...
Can I answer the question there now? Hayley's put a question to me, Greg.
Go ahead, Paddy. Yeah, go ahead.
So cervical check is cervical cancer is extremely dangerous. It kills many women on an annual basis. If the HSC put out documentation in relation to cervical check, the first responsibility is to save lives and not put out confusing messages. Now, if the message, if you're trying,
Patter, I think that point's well made, because we don't have a ton of time, so I want Hayley to come back straight at that. I think people know exactly what you're saying there, Patter. Go ahead, Hayley.
I am asking Patter, absolutely, cervical cancer is a killer. And in his talking about phrasing in the leaflet, is he saying that trans men's lives don't matter?
But you could phrase it, could you not have phrased it?
And not encourage trans men to participate.
But Hayley, I mean, obviously, Patter, you and I think we all have a very genuine interest in the welfare of children. We all do, don't we? We're all combined in that. So with that in mind, Hayley, is it not incredibly important that we make sure that what we're doing now, because it is new, is done with the child first, and more debate, more conversation, not in a adversarial manner like on Twitter or yourself, that we all find a space where everyone can have their views and it's respected, and we ensure that whatever we come forward with, we have something of a consensus that's best for all children. All children. I mean, and I just don't know why we don't do more of that in this country.
Absolutely. And I would absolutely say that having knowledge about relationships, sexual health and gender is of great importance to all our children. I work with, as a community development worker, I work with all kinds of different people, and that includes parents of trans children. And those children are, in many cases, experiencing great challenges at school because their identity is not recognised. So there was great education. People don't transition overnight, Paddy. They don't decide to change their gender overnight. It is a formative process. So it's very unlike wanting to stay up late. And I think it's really important that our children be given the space to explore their own identities and to be supported in their own.
But on that, Hayley, do we not have a role, though, in guiding children? I have a slight concern that we're leaving children to their own devices, and we have some of the highest rates of mental health issues in children and self-harm. I needed some guidance, not necessarily on my sexuality, Hayley, but we can't just say, well, what do you want, and accommodate that. That's not good either, is it?
suggesting that. I'm suggesting that there be cohesive education that teaches all children, the importance of personal autonomy, consent, sexual health, personal identity. So that is for all children. That's not just about children who may or may not be trans.
Yeah, Patter?
Yeah, just the question, the point you made there is very good, Greg. It needs to be about children first. So whatever my ideology or Hayley's ideology, we need to park that and say what's best for the child. And the best way to do that is to carry out research to see what impact this would have on the child. Now, I asked the Taoiseach in the Dáil, what research has the Department of Education or the Taoiseach carried out in relation to the impact of teaching children in this regard? And he had said there was no research done whatsoever. And that's dangerous. I and most parents want, our education system to be based on facts, research and science. And unfortunately, the decision that the Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael government look like they're going to take is not based on any of those.
All right, well, finally, Hayley, I think with more conversation, more education and more involvement with parents, I would say a lot of parents that have answered surveys, for instance, are doing it from a position of ignorance. And I mean that with respect. I know Pat may not fully agree with that, but if we had more of a non-confrontational conversation, we'd find the consensus in there somewhere.
Absolutely. And I think, being able to have conversations is challenging in the world we're living in, where there is, really high transphobia, and where there is that sort of vicious attitude on the likes of Twitter and social media and stuff. It does make it hard to have a conversation. But absolutely, if people can talk, increase their understanding. I do think a lot of people answer, and as I say, with the greatest respect, from a point of, as you say, rather, from a point of respect.
I don't think parents are ignorant about their children, to be honest.
So rude, Paddy, to interrupt me.
Sorry.
But when I say ignorant, I didn't like. I'm a parent. I'm on about me having a full understanding. Like I said on the show last week, parents are worried about what might be taught in schools. Do they really know what's being taught in school currently? That's the ignorance that I'm talking of. That we're all right like. I might listen to you and I go, yes, Patter's saying what I want to hear, or I might go, yes, Hayley, she's saying what I want to hear, but it doesn't necessarily. I wasn't being critical of parents.
I think there's a key question here. I think you hit the nail on the head, Greg. I actually think that parents know their children the best. They know what stage they're at. And I actually think that parents do need to have these conversations with their children. Parents need to educate their children in relation to their sexuality, in relation to orientation, in relation to all these things. But the parent is the best placed individual on the planet to have that conversation with. And, yes, they need to deal with these issues at some stage in the education system, but I would rather the children were beyond 8 and 9 year olds before they were given this type of information.
Fair enough. Thank you very much indeed, Patter. Hayley, thanks for your time as well. I appreciate it. I really do.
Thanks for raising the conversation.
No, take care. And it's a complicated one, and one that needs really much more time, Hayley, because I think we're all scared of everything in this world now, and I think it forms our opinions, fear and lack of information. But anyway, I appreciate your input today. I really do. Take care of yourself and have a wonderful day. Okay, that was Hayley Fox Roberts there, and Deputy Patter Tobin, the leader of the Ain't Two Party.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
All right, it is 11 o'clock. It's time for a news update, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A former Garda inspector says it's sad that members of the force feel the need to protest today. 100 members of the AGSI will march to Garda headquarters this morning over an ongoing rostering dispute. They claim a promise to return to pre-pandemic work patterns has not been honoured by Commissioner Drew Harris. Instead, they say he's trying to impose a new roster. A small business in Ballybofey has received an electricity bill for over €1,000. Bernie Maguire, owner of Stitch at Bernie, says she's lucky if she gets 3 full weeks' wages per month. On the 9 till noon show this morning, she told Greg she needs to make €110 a day just to cover her expenses before making a profit. Dog owners are being urged to ensure their animals are under control after another sheep kill at the weekend, this time in Gweedore. Gardaí confirmed at the weekend that 2 lambs in Yo were killed in Derry Beg. Councillor Michael McClafferty says attacks like these badly impact on farmers. Police officers in Derry came under attack near the border last night. Bottles and stones were thrown at them in the McGowan Park area. They were conducting a search operation in the vicinity of Brayhead Road when the incident happened. Some vehicles were damaged, but no injuries were reported. Voting begins later in the contest to succeed Nicola Sturgeon to become Scotland's next First Minister. Members of the SNP have a fortnight to decide between Finance Secretary Kate Forbes, Health Secretary Hamza Yousaf and former Community Safety Minister Ash Regan as their next leader. Tens of thousands of SNP members are eligible to vote. And Gary Lineker is set to return to presenting sport for the BBC just days after being pulled off air for comments he made about British government policy. The broadcaster repeated an apology to audiences but stopped short of saying sorry to the Match of the Day presenter. The corporation is also launching a review of its social media guidelines. And we're back with headlines again at 12 noon.
All right, Donald, thank you very much indeed. Brendan Devaney is going to be in studio with us, but first let's take this break.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Ready for a change or upgrade? Think Seat. With our wide range of award-winning Seat SUV, including the bold crossover Arona, the family favourite Ateca, or the spacious 7-seater Tarraco. All vehicles come with great offers on finance and PCP options. Book a test drive today by calling DMG Motors on 074 9721 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie. Choose your new 231 Seat with confidence with a visit to DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town.
At Screwfix, we've got great deals for St. Patrick's Day, like a €25 saving on the DeWalt T-Stack 2.0 storage tower, now just €144.95, and save €20 on the Titan 20-litre wet and dry vacuum, only €54.95. So you don't want to miss out. Hurry, deals end Friday. Shop online at screwfix.ie or in over 30 stores. Screwfix, the choice of champions. While stocks last, visit screwfix.ie for T's and C's, delivery charges and restrictions.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €2,050 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Ireland's most exciting new folk group, Kjol, play the Melon Country in Oma on St Patrick's Night and the Clanry Hotel Letterkenny on Saturday the 18th, bringing traditional Irish folk music to a new generation. Don't miss Kjol, Friday the 17th in the Melon Country Inn and Saturday the 18th in the Clanry Hotel. Check out kjolband.com for details.
Hi folks, Paul McDevitt here, inviting you to join myself and Jimmy Stafford this Monday night for another edition of the Monday Night Sessions. On the show this week, we welcome all the way from Dublin, the brilliant Tommy Keys. Darren Boot Burke will also be popping in for a chat and a few songs, and we welcome back the fantastic Notes Show Band from Derry. So, that's the Monday Night Sessions this Monday night between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. right here on Highland Radio.
Post now has no limits. With digital stamps from On Post. Now you can send anytime from anywhere in Ireland and get next day delivery with notification, so you know when your post arrives. Download the On Post app now and send love like never before with digital stamps. On Post, for your world. Restrictions apply. See T's and C's at onpost.com.
All right, in studio now with Brendan Devaney, the presenter of the DL Debate, which is broadcast this evening live on the radio after 7, and then for you to listen at your leisure on demand on highlandradio.com. Good morning to you, Brendan. How are you keeping?
Oh, the very best.
It's good to have you in.
Or the G-Man. Do your friends call you the G-Man?
No, they don't call me that. Right. But we couldn't say on air what they do call me. It begins with, well, I won't say the word either. Come here. What's on the show tonight? Plenty of course, reaction to the weekend's action. What jumps out for you?
Yeah, well, I was at Donald Park yesterday. Unfortunately, our hurlers lost to Wicklow, 224-11. Wee bit of a pacing. A few players missing. Greg, very physically strong, good Wicklow side. Listen, they were a league above to a few seasons ago, and they probably expected to go back up, but they've stayed in Division 2B. So, listen, I had a chat to Mickey McCann after the game.
Why are you moving? Every time I move the mic, you move.
Sorry. Do you want to? You can't see me properly.
No, go back.
I'm not used to it. You see, you're a professional.
Who's to the right? Go on, move your seat to the right.
This way.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. That's great.
So you're a broadcaster now.
I'm an amateur.
You're full of it. No, you're not. You're a broadcaster now. You're full of attitude.
I'm using your seat now.
That's what I'm saying. Sorry, go ahead, Brendan, with the point you're making.
Yeah. So just, listen, it was a tough day for hurlers yesterday, but listen, they're stable in Division 2B, Greg, which was the first couple of seasons up at it, they were in relegation fight. So I was just saying to Mickey that even in the league, without looking to go up, there's growth in there. Donegal have been stable the last couple of seasons, which is important. It's a good level, and it's the right level to be at. So listen, it's not the worst defeat. They're playing Tyrone next week at home as well, but certainly it's all eyes on the Nicky record. That's what they're building towards. And of course our ATU team, Barney Kearns ladies, were down in the GA Centre in Connacht, and they won the Lynch Cup, beating DCU in the first game in the semi-final, and then beating UCC in the final in a tight game, 1-11, they won 7. So great weekend for them, and great to see the girls coming home with a cup.
Who are your guests this evening?
So as I say, I'll be speaking with their manager Barney Kern. I've got an interview with Mickey McCann, and then Eamon McGee's coming up as well. One of our heroes of 2012, Greg, and the main topic of discussion is the fallout from the academy.
Right. Okay. Now that's there was an article published over the weekend. I actually saved the article, but didn't get round to reading it yet. Is that an easier story to cover and write from outside the county than from within it?
Yeah, well, listen, Carr done his due diligence on it, as he does. Carr's a contributor to the DL debate. I rang him up after it because, he didn't speak. No one from the county board has been speaking on this, Greg, and there's reasons for that. And so the article was very much written from one side. Now, in the interest of fairness, Greg, listen, I was on News Talk the other week, last week. There was massive feedback from it. I tried to just weigh up the situation because there was a big demonising of the county board when this fell apart, but I don't think it was completely like that. So I just tried to give the balance on it.
Well, Eamon McGee is of the view, I think, in a tweet, and let's see if I have it here. Hopefully this puts to bed a lot of the stories. No harm the county board putting their hands up and acknowledging the mess they've created. That's how we start to go about fixing this. Now, you're going to have a two-way debate here or two-way conversation with Eamon. You have an opposing view to him.
Well, it's not, Greg, that I'm taking either side of this, but there's balance in here. It's not completely like that, and there's things in the background there, and we're going to talk it out tonight that I think shed a light on there was issues on both sides. And this is and listen, Eamon started texting me when that article broke on Friday. Now, it's a huge article. I mean, I was saying to Cahar, how much time? He says he basically spent a week at it. But as I said to Cahar, and I know him well enough to say this, Cahar, the fact that the county board didn't speak to you still means that there's another bit of balance in there in the story.
The county board they were invited
They were invited to, but there's reasons for that too, you see, Greg, and we'll talk that out tonight. But Eamon was texting me. I said, Eamon, I appreciate the article and I see the points in it, but there is counter argument to this.
Well, I'll tell you, no better man than you and Eamon to talk about that this evening. No, seriously, because you both know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, listen, Eamon's coaching. Eamon's coaching at under 20s as well, and to get his point of view on it, it'll be interesting. And I think Donegal people in particular, and so many of them have come up to me since that News Talk article or that News Talk interview, Greg, and have said, there was a bit of balance in there because I think when the stories first broke, and a lot of the reports back were all kind of one-sided. So that's what I'm trying to do, Greg. Get to the truth, and find out about where this lies, because we have a lot of people in the county board, Greg. Their job is to promote our game. They're all GA men. So this thing of them looking to somehow sabotage or underage structure, there's no sense to that. So that's what we need to discuss and talk out, and I'm sure we'll find a common ground, maybe or maybe
I just don't know how you're going to fit everything else in, but anyway, you've everything covered there. So that's this evening, and I think anyone with an interest in Donegal GEA should listen to that podcast this evening, because you've got Brendan Devaney, who's, I wouldn't say battling for the county board, but says, look, there's two sides to every story. We need to heed theirs. So I'm disappointed maybe they had an opportunity and didn't take that opportunity to contribute to that article. And then we've got Eamon McGee's opinion that this is an opportunity for the county board to put their hands up and acknowledge they made a mess. And as I say, in that conversation somewhere within, we'll find some sort of a middle ground. But it needs to be resolved. We need to move forward from this. We're not in a position where we have the luxury of being able to have, internal rows and pulling and swinging and he said, she said, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It needs to be put to bed ASAP, doesn't it, Brendan?
Listen, I felt uncomfortable on News Talk last week because I'm a Donegal man, and this is, you talk about the story, but there was no point in not talking about it. And once I'm finished with it tonight, I contacted Fergus McGee, the new chairman. Now, this has kind of landed on his lap. It's tough on him now to be coming in with all the issues. But I said to him, once we have a new man or people in place, then I want you on to talk about the future, where this is going, what your plan is for it. Because tonight finishes it. So whatever we talk, whatever we agree on or disagree on tonight, I want to put that behind us now. But I still think, Greg, it's too important a subject for us not to discuss it and for people to hear maybe the views that we have from both sides of it.
Yeah, because there's camps in every element of sport.
Yes.
There are people that are loyal to certain people or what have you, and that's something we've lived with and will continue to live with. It's the facts of life. But that means we still, as I say, have to have conversations and get to the bottom of things. All right, so that's all coming up in the podcast after 7 p.m, after the news this evening. You can watch it on our social medias as well. I suggest you don't miss that, by the way, because I think that's going to be a really interesting conversation. Plus, as Brendan mentioned, they have Ryan Ferry on, Aaron Kiernan from Mama's on as well.
That was a previous one, sorry.
Sorry?
I made a banged you over the wrong information. That's my apologies.
You have a lot to learn, sunshine.
I was sending attachments. I was actually doing a bit of work this morning. I was sending attachments.
So it's just going to be you and Eamon round for an hour?
Me and Eamon and Barney Kearns coming on, the ATU manager. My apologies, Greg. It was my fault.
And
of course, I spoke with Mickey McCann there yesterday. That
podcast is still available, though, isn't it? The one that I've just plugging.
Right,
all right,
Greg,
okay.
right.
So you can, if you're interested in the podcast I was actually mentioning, you can go back and listen to previous episodes.
Greg.
My son was part of the Donegal Academy team. The young lads are all really enjoyed and were highly encouraged by Carl. The big losers here are the young people.
Oh, totally agree. Listen, Greg, this is the thing. I mean, Carl Lacey, an absolute, we talk about legends. He's above that in Donegal terms. One of the best players ever to play. Gaelic, never mind Donegal, but in the whole of Ireland. So this thing of us losing him to that's the worst scenario in all this. So, but I got to park that there around a lot of the stuff that's coming out. But listen, in terms of him being in there, we couldn't have had a better man. I mean, he's only second to Michael Murphy as our best player ever, and there's no shame in that. But listen, that's what I'm saying. My fear now would be that he goes to another county, which would be terrible for us. But listen, that's going to be up to him.
But I'm not sure if this is relevant, and will this be teased out in any organisation? One person can't be bigger than the organisation either.
There seemed to be an issue with the umbrella and where the academy were, and that they weren't completely underneath this umbrella, and then
autonomy there.
People rubbed up the wrong way, Greg, and as if I was joking, like sometimes it can start small and then say someone doesn't reply to an email or doesn't come to a meeting or someone requests something, and then it just started to build, Greg, and there seemed to be a couple of personalities clash. But how it got to the stage where it couldn't be repaired, Greg, is
right. Eamon McGee, who's a regular contributor to this show as well, and Brendan Devaney will debate it out on the Deal Debate this evening at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Brendan.
And Greg, I could just mention very sad news come through. Bernard Flynn texted me last night. Just Liam Cairns, the Offaly manager, died suddenly. Really tragic news. He was putting in savage work there for Offaly, and listen for his family. Yeah. I mean, Greg, listen, a man just absolutely invested in GA and for the team and for everybody there that know him and loved him. A sad day.
May he rest in peace.
Yes.
And sympathies primarily with his family and his friends, and then the wider GA community as well. Brendan, before I let you go, if you don't mind, you're an ambassador with Plan, right?
Yes.
You're heading to Africa soon, are you?
That's the plan now.
What are you going doing?
Yeah. Well, listen, I've been helping out Plan, Greg, this last, I don't know, maybe six years odd, just helping sponsor kids. It's €22 a month. You sponsor a child, you change their life, you make sure that they're
and you do that, and you've been doing it consistently for years.
Well, I sponsor 3 myself, and then from the charity night that we held last year that you came to, thanks very much. It was a great night. We sponsored 23 kids on that night as well. So what I was doing was I was just looking for ways to kind of save the money with doing me things like, washing the car with the kids or cutting back on something small.
You're fasting for a bit too.
Fasting was the thing. I fast a day sponsor a child. So now I've got 3, so it's 3 days. But I don't mind that, Greg. Listen, it's really healthy in that too. Now, obviously, it's not for everybody.
Now, intermittent fasting is a thing. It's
that's
a lot of people, especially when you get to my age.
Yeah. So we've been just trying to help out, and as I say, the charity night. There's another one going to come up at the end of the summer. So that kind of keeps the whole. The 23 kids running, and we're going to help a bit out with the hospice and with Epilepsy Ireland, because that's how my sister passed. So I just want to create a bit of awareness with that. Now, in talking to Plan, like I would do different wee things for them, go down to events and just, as I say, help out where I can. But there was a drop off, Greg, with people who had sponsored kids, and then the direct debit would stop in that, and I just felt there was a bit of a disconnect maybe between.
Where's the money going?
The sponsored person. Yeah. Well, no, it's more the sponsored person, because like 96% of it.
No, what I'm on about, but tangibly, you know.
Yeah.
I'm on about it's the sense that there's a direct debit where you know what I mean. You can lose track of it 6 months in.
Yes. So there seemed to be. I couldn't understand that, because when you join up with Plan, you get out a wee pack. Yeah. And you see the wee child that you're sponsoring. So what, as I say, Greg, that makes sure they have education, they go on and help in the community, they protect particularly young girls from child marriage and all the horrors that go with some of them developing countries. So they protect the kids, they make sure they have an education, which means they have a chance, Greg. And the bigger issue with that is that, you know, we look at all the migration that's happening here now. Unless we go and invest in these countries 100%. And protect these people, they're going to keep coming out. And if you imagine a village or a small town there, if a load of people leave, it kills the town, you know. So
money should be spent investing so that people can live where they want to live, which is invariably.
So instead of us putting these barriers up and doing all this stuff to stop it, we need to go and help. Yeah. Now that's one thing the Plan do. So I couldn't understand that if you have this wee picture and you write them, so I would send you would send a letter and they write back, and they convert it depending on the language. Like you might have like a French ex-French colony or whatever. So they would send back. So you just send small things, Greg, maybe at Christmas, like colouring book and pens and that, which we see as nothing, but it's huge to them out there. So then I was thinking, if you know that wee person, and we would listen with the wee boys, we would include them at times in prayer and saying, you know, this is the wee girl in Togo, or this is the wee boy in Mali. Yeah. So as I said, the fact that there was drop-offs and that, Greg, I was thinking, why don't we go out and meet the kids that I'm sponsoring? You know, and we Plan had said a few times that they do field trips. They have people on the ground out there. So I spoke to Donald Bradis that does a video on it. So I said, listen, would you come out and we'll document it and just and go out and see the work that Plan are doing and just to promote.
Bridge that information gap that's clearly
charity,
maybe there. Okay.
So me and Brad has been having the crack in case we get kidnapped. We'll be called the Togo 2, and you might see a few videos coming up. So we're having a bit of crack about that. But listen, Carol Wickham that works for Plan, she's putting everything together. She's going to come with us as well, Greg. So we're looking at maybe the start of summer, maybe May time. Yeah. We're just looking at dates there now to go out.
Well, let us know closer to time, because we chat to you most Mondays. And you're going for the charity night round 2, are you? That's penciled in?
Yeah, terrible round 2. It's a trilogy, so it's a trilogy. So this is the second one. Well, it'll be bigger and badder this time. Greg.
Good stuff. Excellent. All right, okay. Look forward to all of that. Brendan, listen, thanks very much indeed for calling in. Just to remind you again, Brendan Devaney on the DL debate tonight, looking back at the weekend's action, of course, but he also has Eamon McGee in, and the two of them have some slight difference in views perhaps on the fallout from the academy controversy, and they're going to play it out tonight, and I'm going to be tuned in. It's going to be on the telly anyway. I'm going to have the Fire Stick on YouTube, and I'm going to watch it.
That's why it's called the DL debate, Greg. Yeah, we have to debate things, you know.
Debate, all right. Hopefully you don't need a ref. All right, who would win? Eamon's got you. Eamon would have you in his sleep.
Yeah, was he? There's Oisín now. Oisín would be maybe
adjudicating. Should win. All right, Brent, take care.
Thanks, Greg.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Sleek, smooth, safe, modern. Oh, you want to hear more? Do you want to drive the most modern car in Donegal? There's a reason why it's our county's favourite car. The brand new diesel Kia Sportage, the multi-award-winning SUV, is available at iMotors now. Our team will take care of all of your needs. Visit imotors.ie or call in to us today. Because how you feel when you drive is important to us.
It's St. Patrick's Week at Salento Strabane, and that means euro for pound at Salento. But even more importantly, it's Mother's Day on Sunday. So thank your mum with something special from Salento. And thank St. Patrick for euro for pound. Salento Strabane. Look good, feel great.
With passengers boarding for the holiday of a lifetime, please go, whoa!
Highland Radio wants to send you on the holiday of a lifetime.
Worth 10,000 euros.
Plus £5,000 spending money. Woo!
Get your ticket now at highlandradio.com. Answer the question and start packing. Start packing.
Draw takes place Thursday, 6th of April on the 9 till noon show.
Start planning your ultimate getaway. Only on Highland Radio.
Ooh.
All right, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. I was standing outside the studio, I'm not going to lie, talking to Sean, because Sean's coming in to talk to me now, and I thought, right, let's do it out there. Thanks so much, by the way, for all of you texting into the programme. It's really appreciated. Obviously, some really quite emotive conversations over here, Sean, if you don't mind. And we appreciate you taking the time to message in. Right, okay, now the co-presenter of the 9 till noon show now at this point is Sean Quinn. Sean, it's great. I'm going to have to put you in the titles.
It's just as if I was never away.
Yeah, but do you know what? All jokes aside, the things are coming thick and fast. We launched the holiday competition on Friday. €10,000 holiday. That's not what we're here to talk about, by the way. But I don't think we mentioned the €5,000 spending money, or I didn't mention it. You know, when I was sort of recapping it, so it's 15 grand in total for the top prize. Right, but we might give that a quick mention at the end. But it was only over the weekend. I saw $5,000 as well. I think
you did.
Okay,
yeah, I think you did, because it didn't really change from last year. Because we said that it was very successful last year. So, but no, it's 10,000 plus 5,000 in cash.
Yeah, okay, right, okay, but that's not what we're talking about just now. You can get more information, by the way, on our website. We're going to talk now about the launch of the Highland Radio Customer Service Business Awards. Now, this is a brand new initiative, Sean. Is that correct?
It is, Greg. Yeah, and it's very exciting to be here this morning to launch these because in the background, we've been working on this for a number of months. And we've done a bit of recce and looking on how would it look, what's the reason for doing it, and yes, so today I'm delighted to be here. Fionnuala's just joined us to launch the Customer Service Awards in association with PGIM, and what we'd like to do now is give you an insight into what does it look like and why we're doing it.
All right, why are we doing this, Fionnuala?
Well, Sean didn't have enough to do really with his day, and I thought maybe we should find something to fill it for him. I know. We're doing it because we really wanted to reach out on two fronts. One is to our listeners, as we always do. We try and engage with them as much as possible whenever we can. And then number two, to engage with the businesses right across the county. So what we've done with this is we have a list of awards, and the initial stages of it is that it's up to the listeners to nominate. So if you go onto the website now, highlandradio.com, you can click on the Highland Radio Customer Service Awards, and you can go in there and then nominate businesses across a range of service and non-service industries that we have. And really what we're looking for is what the best butchers, best, you know what I mean? They're the type of awards that we're doing, and we just feel that it's a good way for businesses to engage with their clients, that they can have it up in their shops and ask people to vote for them and to nominate them. And then it's also a good way for customers to give credit to the businesses that are, putting it out there and doing a good job on their customer service.
Just I think it was last week or the week before, we just casually mentioned, if you've had a nice experience in retail or whatever. It's by coincidence because I didn't really know this was coming up. And we got in some amazing stories of a person that was in a particular business, all different types of business, by the way, because I think often we might think it's always going to be retail or hospitality, right? But it's clearly not. I mean, people have great experiences everywhere. But it's that business that goes above and beyond. I was in, I can mention where I was in yesterday. I was in Biddy's. I haven't been in there for absolutely years yesterday. Yesterday we called in just for soup and a sandwich or something, and the staff were absolutely awesome, brilliant. The whole place it looks lovely. There's nothing in it for me, by the way. I paid and all that. Don't get me wrong. But we
believe you.
No, but as we drove home, right, we talked about Biddy's, how lovely the staff were in there. All of the 3 of them were at the table at one point, and they were lovely. Now, we spoke to ourselves. It didn't achieve anything, really, did it?
Yeah.
Here's an opportunity for experiences like that.
Yeah.
That it can matter to a business. So sorry for the convoluted introduction.
but
but we can do
100%
something and say, you know what, you deserve a credit. Thank you for being a great butcher.
That's
Thank
exactly
you for
what
being
it is.
a great
People,
restaurant.
Look, everybody has their ups and their downs and things like that. But the thing about it is, and in this current time, when we talk about how everything's getting expensive and like for businesses, that has really become a huge thing for them, and it costs a lot of money now to be able to, maintain a business, particularly if you have staff. If you have a lot of staff and you're giving any kind of a service, be it like in a shop that you're selling, be it in a hairdresser's, be it a beautician's, be it a restaurant, anything like that. Businesses are putting in a lot of sweat and tears in order to be able to do it, and if they are doing it well, this is your opportunity to say, well done you. Excellent. You are doing it well.
And let us not
just
forget
be nominated.
These are the businesses that employ our young people, employ our brothers and sisters. They are the ones that will sponsor your local GA club.
Yeah.
They will give a prize to a fundraiser. No harm to the big boys, but often, they're doing their own thing on a national level. Yeah. This is the grassroots of our community. Right, so talk to me a little bit more about how this will work, some of the categories. Are we voting on all of them at the same time? Are you dropping some at a particular time? Sean, talk to me a little bit more about the mechanism there.
Okay, so we've got 6 categories, and they are health and beauty, you have lifestyle, house and home, service and finance, motor, and fashion and retail. So from that, we've actually got 50 awards. And they vary. I don't really think we've left anybody out. Down to your hairdresser, your butcher, your local creche. They're all in there, and I suppose everybody deserves the opportunity to be recognised for the customer service levels that they have.
So if I want to vote for a particular business, how do I find the category on the website?
So you go onto Highland Radio. It's well navigated. It's on the front page, and you just click on the customer service awards, and in there's actually 6 different categories. So if it's a hairdresser that you want to vote for or nominate, then you click on the button there.
So if I want to vote for a nail bar, but nail bar is not actually listed, that's under health and beauty, and then our system picks that up.
Yeah, well, we've got...
No, you go into, what you do is you click on the health and beauty, and then it gives you the opportunity then to put in your business, and then there's a scroll down where you can say this is where you want that to go. So there's another move into it. So when you go into health and beauty, it shows you these are the categories. Under each of the categories, we have anywhere between 8 to 10 awards. So, like, just as an example with the health and beauty, we have hair salon of the year, beauty salon of the year, barbers of the year, hairstylist award for an individual, beauty therapist of the year individual as well, nail salon, as you mentioned there, health spa, health and well-being, which could be any kind of a business that might be in health and well-being, might be your reflexologist, it might be some,
Understood,
it could be somebody, a nutritionist that you go to, anybody like that comes in under that. So if you wanted to vote for somebody in that, you go to it, click on the awards, then you click on the category that you know that it will fall into, and then once you're in there, then it gives you the opportunity under exactly which one that you can put it into.
So you'll name your company that you want to nominate, and then you'll pick from the drop down which is a hair salon.
Yeah,
pick from there. So we've made it as simple as possible.
Find the best fit for your.
Absolutely, and there's a box which is optional where you can put the reasons why. But the key word is optional. You don't have to go into too much details, and because what happens in the next part of the process is independent judges that will make the decision on who will be shortlisted and come to our big awards night.
Okay, brilliant.
So what we've done now is the nominations are open today, and people have from today until the 7th of April to vote. You can vote in all of the categories. If you feel that you have a car dealer that you like, a hair salon that you like, every single category that's it.
This is way easier than you were describing it.
I know.
I was wondering what you were doing there.
It's so easy to describe.
Very simple.
All right. So,
well, you describe it easier. It sounds a bit clicky when you're saying it.
But like house and home, you've got home furnishing, kitchen suppliers, full-tie retailers, window blinds, brilliant. So you go, all right, okay, well, I want to nominate such and such a kitchen supplier. You click nominate the business, and then you put in the business name. Then you put where they are. You select the category which you're already in there effectively, your own name, and then you message and submit, and that's all you have to do to support your.
That's it. And as I said, the message is optional and that kind of thing. It's really just
lovely.
What we want to do is give people as easy an opportunity. Look, it does. When you start talking about click here and click here, it can make it sound a lot. People should go on, check it out, and see. They'll realise how easy it is. There's 50 awards. What we're planning to do is they're open today. They're closing on the 7th of April, so you have until...
it's a short one.
Yeah,
okay,
so you have until the 7th of April in order to... the way it works is that you have until the 7th of April that everybody gets their nominations in. We will then come up with a shortlist which will go towards our judges, which are independent external judges that we have very thankfully came on board in order to do this with us. And then what we will be doing then is we will be announcing then within 2 weeks after that then who is on the list, and then we have a gala night planned.
Brilliant. We'll talk more about that in a moment. In terms of we're the consumers, so we know what we're doing, right? That's easy. What do you suggest businesses do now, Sean? Because I would have no problem if I owned a shop. I'd say, look, we put in a good service here. We get the great customer feedback. Let's get an award for it. So if a business it's up to them how to promote it. Presumably, what would you suggest they do, Sean?
Well, it's I suppose in the coming weeks is to make sure their customer service is at the highest level, because people obviously will be using their services or buying their products, and they've an opportunity if they've got that fantastic service at the forefront of their mind is, I must nominate for this business. So it's a great opportunity for a business to refocus on what they do best and how they can entice customers back on a regular basis, and customer service is at the forefront of that. If you get that bit right, and it's a good experience for the consumer, they will come back. And most businesses out there, they're very good at that, and they spend a lot of time to get that bit right, and they understand that.
Some people saying if you don't have a smartphone or a computer, you can't vote. Unfortunately, there's certain things in life that we are in a different era now, and pretty much every business that someone will be voting for has their own social media presence, has their own websites. That's how they're engaging with people. If we could come up with a mechanism every single time that everything could be included in pen and paper.
Usually I would say to you, just give us a ring and we'll help you.
Exactly.
But in this, obviously we can't have staff doing 50 nominations from individuals. So I'm afraid, this
is an internet-based voting system, and I think everyone knows how inclusive I would like to be on everything, but we're talking about multiple businesses across multiple categories, and it's only because of technology that we can actually do this. I think but I respect the listener's point of view, but I also understand that this is a complex thing that requires the computers.
Well, what we're going to do is when we come down to the final end of it, we're going to look at the categories, see what feedback we've gotten from people, and we may be making some of the final categories listener based as well. At that stage then there will be an opportunity. It'll be easier for us and less wieldy, that we might be able to have phone for at least a day or something, you know what I mean, for a particular period of time.
So
during it.
I keep going back to the hairdressers, right? So the hairdressers has a nail bar, right? And listeners asking, I'm not just trying to be awkward, can you vote for them in both categories?
Yes. Of course you can.
Of course you can.
And that'll all be collated and sorted, right? So that answers that question from that listener. Okay, thank you.
You can vote for anybody that you feel, and if you feel that the business should be under a particular category, and yet it may not necessarily be, you know what I mean? Like if it's called Kathy's Get Together, and you're saying, that's actually a beautician. There is a comment box there. So if you feel that you're voting for something that maybe the name doesn't really lean towards whatever, but as a consumer that's what this business does.
So say someone hires kayaks and they do a fantastic job in the local community. It's not listed there. I'd put that under lifestyle.
That's it.
Yeah.
You
put
it in under, and then you can just put a couple of words into it, and you feel this is why we did that. Yeah, that's why it kind of gives you the opportunity to add in if you sort of think, wouldn't normally put them in under that, but here's why.
So before we move on, what I think we should point out is this is far more simple.
Yeah.
We've struggled here to make it, but it is
click sounds. It's like the Longo when they first put in the roundabouts, and you have to say, take the first roundabout, take the second roundabout.
I know. So let's get back to the core of this. This is about supporting and recognising good customer service in our amazing businesses across this region, really, isn't it?
And it's about consumers having a chance and to congratulate and thank their local businesses for the effort that they put in order to maintain fantastic customer service. I think it gives kudos to your local business. You can be nominating yourself, your own business, if you feel that you're deserving of it. Other people will come on board. And it's really just to get an interaction and a conversation going. You know, we've had a couple of years where, you know, a lot of businesses had I'm sure, a couple of nights when they were wondering whether or not they were going to stay going. Things are finally back and happy
things are
and
really
going.
busy out there. Like,
really
and I'd
busy.
love to see, like, everywhere you go, there's people there. For being, as I said on the show before, is it sports events? Like, all the football games seem to be really well supported. Now, a lot of that's down to the customer service of Finn Harps or the local GA clubs or whatever. Restaurants, the car parks seem to be busy. Now, maybe I'm not getting a full read of it, but that's towns. There's foreign registered cars and you know, German cars, British cars, whatever, in towns and in CAFs already. Like, you know what I mean? It feels like there's a buzz
lift
already.
That there's a buzz around the place that you know, we're coming into somewhere and eventually we're gonna
all the
be
pubs
warm.
I'm never in seem busy.
No way.
Judging by their pictures.
But I think the market, there was, you know, we were a bit worried about how would February look, but I think the feedback from retailers is it's been good.
Yeah.
It's been better than anticipated.
Just the operating environment was a bit easier.
Yeah.
That there's more profit for them in all this business. That's the only sickener, but that's beyond our control.
Yeah,
isn't it?
but that'll come though. If they can keep the consistency of the consumer coming in through the door, then that will come back because it will fix itself eventually.
All right, Fernanda, you were going to say something?
No, because I think the other thing that it does with businesses as well is if you can get that sort of feeling, like you're saying, people are out and about, people are doing so, it just creates a buzz.
There is a buzz
and that
out
buzz,
there, I think,
once you have that buzz going across the county, it gives everybody that lift, not just a business, but it also gives people, I think, even a personal lift that they feel that, you know, they're more inclined to go and do stuff. They're more inclined to go out and avail of the services that are there, that are, you know, available across the county.
Okay.
So really that's what we're trying to do, is create a bit of a buzz, create a bit of a chat. Who is your best? What are the reasons why? Why should we be celebrating?
So let's reset here before we continue again and talk about the Gala night. This is the Highland Radio Customer Service Business Awards. It's an online vote. You go to our website, you'll see the big banner, you click into it. Why don't you spend 5 minutes of time and click your favourite shop, your favourite hairdressers, your favourite butcher, your favourite car salesperson or shop. And it's very simple. You're passing it forward. You're passing on the goodwill. It's better than a Google review almost at this point because it's for local and it's for local customers, right? And then and eventually we come down with a whole host of winners across many, many categories. But everyone that you vote for is recognised. You know what I mean? They don't necessarily. Everyone doesn't have to win, but it's just the fact that they've been recognised for what they do. So it really is as simple as that, passing it forward, saying, you know, fair play, you did a good job. You know what I mean? And saying we appreciate it, and I'm going to vote for you on the Highland Radio website, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, there's nothing better than to be recognised by your customer. And I suppose what we want to do then is we want to celebrate and shortlist the businesses and then all come together on the 28th of May to have a gala evening. We've booked the Mount Errigal. We think the tickets will be the biggest thing in town. I think it will be very hard to get a ticket.
Bigger than the Monday Night Sessions key ring.
Oh, well, nearly. Close to it now. Can't emulate that one. But yeah, it's a progress of where we've come from and where we are now. That to be able to do that and bring so many entrepreneurs.
That's going to be a fun, fast-paced night.
Big time. You just took the words out of my mouth because that's exactly what it is. 50 awards. We won't be there for 4 hours doing awards. It'll be very high.
You'll be bringing your dessert up to collect your rewards.
Yeah, and you'll be dancing all the way back down again to get a photograph.
Right, brilliant stuff. Okay, and then that's fantastic for your own social media. Then that's up to the businesses, but that's how this world works now. You get your award, and you can use that as a marketing tool as well, because it's proper recognition. And you can use the photos, and that's what it's about. Because I think all of us have to sometimes recognise that we have to be our own promoters sometimes. You know
absolutely. And if anybody wants to contact the station, we've some branding done for the awards. If they want to contact us,
off for the walls
just
or something.
that we can send stuff out to them that they can use on their own social media. You know, if they want to,
I want to go
send
to
out
shops
to
and
their own
see
clients
behind the counter or wherever it is. You know, vote for us in the.
Have you voted? Yeah,
we can supply that for us. Absolutely, I think that's what it is, and we're so grateful and delighted as well. The PGM have come on board with us. They're a fantastic organisation here. You know, again, local people, hiring local people. It's fantastic. And it's just great that they've come with us on this inaugural journey, because to be honest, I know that's probably why we sound a little bit vague, because we're kind of making it up as we go along a bit ourselves.
Well, I'm trying to these are the notes that I was given.
It's pretty... you're doing well, Greg.
Someone has an awful lot more faith in me than I deserve.
I just want to reiterate that the partnership with PGIM as well, because I made a call and to Aisling in the outset, and it was a very easy call, and they engaged with us straight away. And what they love about it is they're able to recognise the unsung heroes within the community. And that's what PGIM is all about, and their growth plans over the next 12 months. So hopefully we can help them in that journey, and it's great to have an association with them and to support us as we move forward. As Fionnuala says, we kind of make it as we go.
Yeah. Okay. To be honest, we are making it up a little bit as we go along. But it will be awesome.
There's slightly more.
No, there is.
But it's going to be a big gala night at the end of May. 50 award winners.
Yeah.
Make sure your favourite business, your favourite service provider, someone who power hoses your driveway. I'm trying to think of examples to make sure that you understand that this is for everyone that's a service provider, front-facing.
If I give you the community and professional services, we've got a creche, Montessori. We also have community centre. So, there's a lot of local things that have started up in different small towns and villages across the way. They can be nominated. A not-for-profit organisation that might be in your area.
Tidy Towns, local Tidy Towns committee,
absolutely.
for example.
Accountants, dentists, insurance brokers, solicitors, tradesperson, builders, plumbers, electricians. Anyway, just even that guy a sole trader that goes out working as an electrician or a builder or plumber, anything like that can be done. Mm-hmm. Local photographer. So we've tried to cover almost everything, which is why there's so many. Davey,
who's going to collect my exercise bag.
There you go.
We're negotiating it on Facebook here.
Vote for him in advance. He'll definitely turn up. There you go.
It.
I'm only joking, but yeah, exactly.
That's
right.
exactly.
And as I say, we're hopefully we're holding where we are now. Things seem quite good from a business perspective. Hopefully the trading environment improves and we can come through this relatively unscathed. We know that businesses are struggling, but we're going to get through that hopefully, and this is also about recognising the extra special effort they have to go through when maybe things are a bit tight and all that in what they do. All right, Fionnuala, El Presidente, thank you so much. Sean, go on.
Thank you. Just one last thing is just to say that this is open throughout the whole of Donegal. So it doesn't matter where you are in Donegal, you can nominate.
Come on, you second sunshine. What, you think you were going to leave Lahey, Donegal Town?
Not at all.
Ballyshannon, Bundoran,
we couldn't do that to you, Greg.
Pettico, Mount Charles, Duncanely, Killybegs. The list goes on.
Exactly, and there'll be so many decent businesses there.
This was all. If I see votes coming in south of the Gap and thousands of people down there listening to us, I know for a fact I'd be incredibly disappointed.
I know.
Very disappointed. So it is all. Does it include in a show?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to get shot.
And into Derry, if there's anybody there that wants to get involved on all of our listeners. I think we've got so many great listeners across the way. It's up to them to say who is it that deserves these awards. And we're not going to be judging where they come from. We want them to come from the region.
This can grow with the contributors, and of course it's all county, by the way, because we are one big beautiful county and region as well. So don't. I think the takeaway is actually because. And I sometimes, with all different types of interviews, when you try and give examples, you don't want to exclude. So, it's everybody who provides a service for you out there, and let the listener and the people, they'll guide us.
That's it. That's what
no
we want.
one
we want
is excluded.
This is for us to engage with the listeners, and the listeners give us their thoughts and feelings on the businesses out there. That's what we want to get from them.
Okay, where would you put the favourite radio show category in there? Is that on the services?
Kind of a given there. We're thinking about maybe doing individual shows just to see how that went.
David James.
Yeah. That'll be our next awards.
Okay.
We'll work that one out.
Or you could have special categories on the night. Okay, anyway, listen, come here. Thanks both of you for calling in.
You can get best presenter on the night. We'll give you one of the awards to present.
Best presenter, 9 till 12. Okay, come here. Highland Radio Customer Service.
Half 11 to 12.
Highland Radio Customer Service Businesses Awards. Get onto the website. This is a brilliant thing. It's about supporting our local businesses community, recognising the great efforts they're putting in. If you're a business listening, contact us. We've got some graphics that you can incorporate. Okay, get the poster up in your business and say vote for us in the Highland Radio Customer Service Businesses Awards. It's going to be the biggest night in business in 2023. Just absolutely no doubt about that. Make sure you have a seat at the table. All right, guys? Thanks so much.
Thanks, Greg.
Back with more after the break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
From coast to coast and top to tail, Ireland produces some of the best food in the world. And at Dunnes Stores, we're proud to offer it to you. Our locally sourced top quality cheeses like Goo Bean or Gert Namona are 3 for €2. Fresh vegetables like baby rooster potatoes from just 49¢. And Board Bia quality assured meat like our centre cut ham range, now 20% off. Plus, you can save even more with our 10/50 grocery vouchers. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used next grocery shop of €50 or more.
New this week in Home Store and More. All mattress protectors are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price mattress protectors are gone, they're gone. Also, all Pyrex are still half price. But when all the half price Pyrex are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Arcadia Retail Park Athlone. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
How well do you know your mum? Find out with our fantastic Mother's Day celebrations at Foyleside Shopping Centre, Saturday 11th of March from 12 to 3 p.m. Enter our fun-filled quiz, How Well Do You Know Your Mum? Live with Jerry Lavs for your chance to win amazing prizes for your mum. See Foyleside Shopping Centre's Facebook page for details.
Fancy a Chinese takeaway?
Yeah, in Beijing.
Could be. Get your ticket from Highland Radio at highlandradio.com.
And if that's not enough, enter before Friday 24th of March and you will also be in with a chance of winning a €1,000 voucher to use on any celebrity cruise booking with Atlantic Travel, plus €1,000 cash. Draw will take place on the 9 till noon show, Friday 24th of March.
Okay, we have one more break to catch up on here. Just want to remind you that our show this week is coming to you in association with St Mary's GEA Convoy Development Draw. They've already done amazing work out there with the pitch and they're looking to continue their development, and they are giving away 50k on St Paddy's Day, and we are giving away 2 tickets. So if you want to enter, go to St Mary's GA Convoy Development Draw Facebook page, but also you can enter this competition and get an additional 2 free tickets if you're lucky. Here's how to enter. Back after these messages.
On this week's show, with thanks to our sponsor, St Mary's GEA Convoy Development Draw, we're giving you the chance to win 2 tickets to their 50k for €50 draw. To be in with a chance of winning this prize, all you have to do is answer the following question. What year did Donegal last win the Sam Maguire? Was it A, 2012 or B, 2020? Text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25000.
This week's 9 till noon show is brought to you by St Mary's GA Convoy Club Development Draw. Win 50,000 for €50. Draw takes place 17th of March. Get your ticket now at stmarysgadraw.ie.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
At On Post, we believe in giving you more power over how you bank. That's why AIB and Bank of Ireland customers can now lodge and withdraw money at any of our 900 post offices across Ireland 6 days a week. That's right, your bank is in your post office for personal and business banking alike, meaning you can bank wherever you live or work. Visit your local post office or onpost.com/everydaybanking. On Post, your money for your world. Allied Irish Banks plc and Bank of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
It's St Patrick's Week at Salento Strabane, and that means euro for pound at Salento. But even more importantly, it's Mother's Day on Sunday. So thank your mum with something special from Salento. And thanks St Patrick for euro for pound. Salento Strabane. Look good, feel great.
Happy Mother's Day.
Treat your mum this Mother's Day to a bottle of perfume or a cosmetics gift from McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. You'll find Lancôme, Paco Rabanne, Armani, Burberry, Gucci and many more. Great value for great mums this Mother's Day. See in store or order online at mcgees.ie. McGee's, with the best, costs less.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Salah, Ninnis, the Beatles. You can now fly to Liverpool 8 times a week with Ryanair this summer. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, so a mild start. Colder air will move in during the late morning and afternoon. Some of the showers will turn wintry later in the day. Afternoon temperatures falling back to 4 to 8 degrees. Now, you may be aware that 100 Garda sergeants and inspectors are marching to Garda HQ today in an ongoing row with the Garda Commissioner over rosters. The Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors says it's seriously concerned about the health and welfare of its members and has accused Commissioner Drew Harris of trying to impose a roster without agreement. He says that today's protest is unnecessary and it's unhelpful. Sergeant Paul Wallace is Vice President of the Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors. Unnecessary and unhelpful, Paul, according to your boss?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. But we had looked for 100, but we ended up with about 250 there. So when you take that, we have 2,200 members in the AGSI. It's a sizable proportion when you take people who work in the shift pattern and nights and courts and all that. And we had good representation there from Donegal, Sligo, Leitrim and Cavan, which is my region. So he's not taking cognizance of probably the feelings on the ground.
What are the concerns that the members have?
We've health and safety concerns, and we've concerns around morale. Morale is on the floor. We had a special delegate conference last week in Athlone, and there was a unanimous vote to say that morale was as such, while the Commissioner thinks everything is fine and rosy. People haven't got a shift predictability in their shift pattern. We're still working what they call the COVID roster, which was brought in overnight to police the pandemic, and we were told we would return to the 6 on 4 off roster that we had, and that hasn't happened.
There's going to be a bit of distrust here because, as you say, I presume allowances were made because of the public health emergency, and now that system has been extended 15 times. So, we're getting close to it probably being seen by bosses as the norm now. I presume that's what you're trying to resist.
Well, he's saying that it's not the norm, that he's saying he wants to go back and impose his roster. And we have a mechanism, of negotiation, dispute resolution that everyone signed up to only prior to COVID. So we're saying that there's plenty of room for negotiation, that we're still open for negotiation. We only had one meeting, and then the Commissioner elevated it into a dispute into the Workplace Relations Commission, which is the state mechanism for disputes in the workplace.
Right, okay. Listen, thanks very much for that, Paul.
All right.
Take care of yourself. Safe journey home. Paul Wallace there, Garda Sergeant Paul Wallace. He's the Vice President of the Association of Garda Sergeants and Inspectors. Now, we have dozens and dozens and dozens of comments that have come in this morning, okay? So that is going to form the part of the conversation tomorrow. If you took your phone out and went to that bother, believe me, it's not being ignored, not being censored or edited. It's been an incredibly busy programme and we didn't get to them, but we will start on them tomorrow. The 2 tickets for that amazing draw go to Bernard Moss, Tullycar, Ahiarn. Well done, Bernard. You have won 2 tickets. You could be winning 50k on Paddy's Day as they are promoting it. So well done. We've another 2 tickets for you tomorrow, potentially to be won. My 8-year-old doesn't know what he wants for breakfast, never mind what gender he wants to be. I think that if my child gets curious about gender, mixed families, religion, etc., I address them in the home, as my parents did with me. Primary school is a place for learning ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, not learning about sex and gender. But sex is already being taught in school, in your school, is it not, at some point already, or are we aware of that? Now that Pater is supporting evidence-based teaching in schools, does he have a timetable for removing all religion from schools, which is an interesting comment there. 8 to 10-year-olds don't need to talk about sex. We're talking about... It's not sex, by the way. There is a difference between someone's gender and sex, or their sexual orientation, by the way. Sex, having sex, and gender are not the same thing. One might dictate the other, maybe not necessarily, but they're not talking about proposing. No one's talking to propose about sex, as far as I'm aware. But look, I'm not here. The jury's out with me either. I don't know. I just want what's best for the children, and I'm working my way through this, trying to figure that out as well. So I don't come down on any particular side as such. I just want respect and care for each other. That's my starting point. But anyway, listen, that's where we have to leave it. It's been a busy Monday, hasn't it? Thanks for all of you